Another double header. Two podcasts. Two people walk into a live stream. One leaves to go take a crap.
I don't know if you need to say that out loud. I don't know if that was the quiet part. You know, if I press on my, it's weird. Like if I press on my stomach in a certain place, it goes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're the Blue Shirt Brothers here.
Yeah. I was wearing a black shirt, and then I was like, oh, I've worn this shirt for like 4 days in a row. I should probably switch my shirts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Never know who watched your live stream Friday night when you didn't live stream Friday night. That's not true. That is a lie. The lie detector determined that was a lie.
But I did put a bunch of lenses out there, which lenses aren't the most accessible thing. Like you have to
you got to seek them out.
You have to go to Patreon to seek those things out. It's just kind of weird.
How are the meat stick reviews going?
Well, I just released my second meat stick review.
Oh, I'm excited! Cannot wait.
And
we'll have to talk about that on the actual podcast. Generate the buzz for the Patreon.
That's probably where my gurgles are coming from. I ate a bunch of salami meat sticks earlier.
You're gonna do a follow-up review. Yikes! Yow! I think we sound and you know what I didn't do?
Change the titles.
I did on. Restream, but I don't believe I did it on Twitch proper.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, it is.
Every time.
You take the day off of work, you don't actually go in. All of a sudden,
I'm gonna give you your first viewer here on Twitch.
Oh, what a guy! What a guy!
Oh man, I am much brighter on my phone than I am at looking at my screen right now. Do I need to turn down my the light source? Am I too bright, Travis?
You're a little bright.
Yeah, I'm a little bright, aren't I? Here,
you're a little bright.
Is that better? Like that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's better. That's better. No,
yeah.
No, brighten up over here.
Brighten it up. Oh, jeez.
Apathetic. Oh, key lighting.
Oh, jeez. So much light. I feel like it's got to look like a tanning bed in your office.
It's getting better. It's getting better.
I wonder if I put my phone. Yeah, I did.
I bought a so these little LED lights, they come with a diffuser thing, right? You can slide in a little diffuser thing.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, which is cool, but I don't feel like it diffuses the light enough, and so I actually, I don't want to mess with the camera.
Now's not the time.
I actually bought like a square, a soft box to go around the one that's up there.
We need to do way more work on live streaming just to justify all the things that you've put into this effort.
Yeah, I'm about to stop buying things and sell it all just so I can be like, nah, failed experiment.
No, sorry, we tried. We had a good run. We had a good run, everybody. Well, speaking of having a good run, I'm gonna make sure we actually have audio on the stream. Yeah, we do. Should we make a podcast?
Yeah, I'd say it's. I'd say
it's about time.
I would say it's about time. It's about moving forward. It's about taking what you've learned, your collective experiences, and combining them into what one would call life.
I would call it a podcast, but we'll aim for life, and in the meantime, we'll make a podcast.
Okay, let me pull up the show notes.
Ooh, show notes for this show? Not necessary.
Do we have any show notes?
Yeah, I mean, I just edited the last ones.
Yeah. Okay. It's 167.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Ready to record?
I'm ready to record.
5, 4, 3, 2, record. and then do all the sounds and make the things happen so that we have a podcast.
Yeah, sure. Let me just.
All right, ready to record? I'm ready to record. 5, 4, 3, 2, record.
It's a time loop. It's a time loop.
Yeah, I'm just making sure that you're crackly to me. Just making sure you're not crackly to the stream.
Should I unplug?
No, you're not crackly to the stream. Is what I'm telling you.
But am I crackly to the recording software?
Well, you're crackly to the recording software, yes, but you're recording your own right now, right?
That's the question, though. Am I crackly to my recording software?
Well, no. I mean, your recording software is using your microphone is going to Twitch, right?
Yeah, but it's also going to Reaper.
Going to Reaper
and Zoom. It's doing a lot of things right now, Brandon.
Oh, you sound great right now. Let's go ahead.
Let's go ahead and make a podcast.
You asked for it. Here it is. It's a podcast from Apathetic Enthusiasm.
This week on Apathetic Enthusiasm, we've talked to you about Palm Springs for a minute, but also Paper Mario and Minecraft.
Yeah, that's right. We talk over the theme song now. I forgot about that. Hey, everybody. I'm Travis.
Hey, everybody. I'm Brandon, and welcome to our show. But when I say our, I don't mean Travis. I don't mean me. I don't mean both of us. We mean all of us. You see, we are a pod fam. Whenever I see Travis, whenever I see pod fam or Podern family and stuff like that, there's a part of me that is like, oh, like just like a little cringy, but I understand it. Like it's true. There's a family out there of podcasts where they live only off of the listener statistics. Like they're out on the street.
If we were obsessed with listener statistics, we wouldn't make the show anymore.
We'd be starving to death.
Absolutely.
Instead of vampires seeking out blood, they're like people of the night looking for blood. No, they're looking for stats, man. They're like on Blueberry and they're like, yo, give me them advanced stats. I'm thirsty for some stats.
I need to know not only how many downloads I got, but how many people listened to the whole episode, how many people listened to half the episode, how many people only made it to the first ad break and then quit. I need to know all that stuff. And if you are a dedicated Podern family member, well, thanks for joining us on this episode.
Thank you.
No hate. Where you can follow us on the social media internets. Twitter, we're at Apathusiast. I'm at Jugglemino. He's at Barnyard Cruise. Facebook.com/Apathetic Enthusiasm Show. Send us emails, please. We're lonely. apatheticenthusiasmshow@gmail.com. Instagram, apathetic_enthusiasm. And this podcast, the second podcast we're doing tonight live on Twitch, and of course interdimensional RSS, all available over at apatheticenthusiasm.com. Mentioning Twitch because we are live streaming right now and every Monday night 9 p.m. Eastern time on twitch.tv/apatheticenthusiasm or over at youtube.com/apatheticenthusiasm. Catch the live streams. You can go over to YouTube. You can subscribe over there. You can catch past episodes of our live streams. So if you want to see what we look like, if you want to see how much effort we put in to looking presentable, make sure you head over to those different options as well. And then I want to give a special shout out to those over at patreon.com/rickandmortypod, the lovely folks who have signed up. We are quickly approaching our Patreon anniversary. So we have something special in mind for patrons that the crowd goes wild for Patreon. Special something for folks. Look for that coming up here very soon. If you sign up at any tier, we are working on a special perk just for you if you sign up during our Patreon anniversary. So for both of you that listen to this podcast, make sure that you head over to patreon.com/rickandmortypod. And
to be clear on that, both of you, he's not talking about me or him, because neither of us listen to it, and I'm the one who.
No, sir.
My philosophy on Apathetic Enthusiasm has always been blind podcast editing,
and our numbers show that he's really lived by that promise. So,
can't wait to talk about it at Podfest.
Brandon, how the heck are you? I want to know how you doing, how you feeling. Are you ready to rock and roll another 2 podcasts in one night? Are you hyped? What is your relative hype level?
Hell yeah! If my hype level could be quantified, it would be Acorn right now. That's how hype I am.
Like your hype is so full of the promise for the future and the potential of becoming a mighty oak tree, but currently could be squashed under the boot of an unsuspecting hiker.
Well, if I get squashed, and that's fine. I get germinated across the countryside. Yeah, some lucky squirrel gets a piece of me, and then when
that squirrel does that squirrel want a piece of me?
And then I eventually, in one way or the other, I'm going to become a big, beautiful oak. It's just the path that we take to get there is not what we expected.
Yeah, we all take different paths. There was something I was going to ask you about. I thought about it when I walked into my office. I was like, I should totally derail our conversation tonight and talk about it. I have since forgotten what that topic was. So, anything on your mind?
That was yeah. I mean, in a way, you did it. You derailed it in a certain sense. I tried to derail it just off the bat, talking about them
acorns.
That's them stat numbers.
Oh yeah.
And then you brought it back. Yeah, talking about stats. That, I mean, I will throw this out there right now because we are talking about podcasting, and so I will get my face back on there.
Like people can see so little of that on the stream, and it's fine. It's fine because you're gonna tell them everything about it, and I feel like that's important.
It's fine. Where am I? I'll adjust it.
No, you're good. Just don't mess up the camera.
You see me now?
It doesn't show any more of it just because you moved.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll move myself back, and I will change my picture. Look, this is really great stuff for the live folks. Yeah. All right. So I'm working on my presentation, right? And I did my initial draft for it was something along the lines of 2,900 words.
Your presentation for what, Brandon?
My presentation for Podfest, or Podfest Global Summit, which is what it's called this time. And so I'm doing a presentation. I'm giving a speech on fandom, right? My initial draft, 2,900 words. A long time. It took like 22 minutes, and that was me rushing it, talking fast like I normally do. Not in a speech presentator.
Not in a professional speech presentator.
Correct. Thank you for making that clear for everybody. And so I recorded it, listened to it. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. Chopped a whole hell of a lot of it down, and so now I'm down to a nice like 16 minutes or so, and leaves me a little bit of extra room because it's only supposed to be 15 to 20 minutes. Leaves me a little bit extra room for mistakes and quips and jokes and on the fly stuff to make it more me and
have that loose improvisational feel that you're going for.
Yeah, the illusion of improv. And but the thing that I also want to do is I want to add, because it's on Zoom, it's through Zoom, I wanted to not just have the background stuff which you see in here in the Zoom, but I wanted to have slides, obviously, because it's a presentation, but I didn't want it just to be I didn't just want it to be my voice and then the slides being presented on screen. I wanted to somehow incorporate me inside the slides, which Keynote, PowerPoint doesn't really do necessarily out of the box. And so I loaded up OBS and I downloaded a tool called OBS Virtual Camera, which Zoom doesn't natively grab outputs other than your webcam.
Mm-hmm.
So through OBS Studio, not OBS Live Streamlabs, you get this plugin, you start the virtual video, and it creates a camera that then Zoom can see, and then can you do everything in OBS, but Zoom then looks at it and says, "Oh, okay, cool, I've got that. I've got that covered."
Yeah, that's a webcam. I can handle that.
So now I'm working on. I only want to have maybe like 7 slides, but in each one of those slides in OBS, then there will be a image kind of slideshow, which then I can browse through to change the slide in that grouping. So I won't have to worry about my webcam placement. It'll be kind of standard for that slide, and then just the images around me will change.
You sent me some samples of what you had planned. Spectacular. Spectacular. It's cool. It's gonna add a little bit of a different. I think it will be very unique for people that are attending the conference or want to learn more about podcasts and fandom and things like that. Definitely need to check your talk out. But then when they go, it's gonna be unique. It's gonna be different than I think what other people are doing, and so I appreciate the hard work that you put into all of your prep, and I hopefully your audience will as well.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see what other people are doing with their presentations. I know it's not just about podcasting. It's also there's some subsections about live streaming and YouTube content, making videos, and those are the people that I would expect things like that to come from, where they're doing something where your thing is all about visual. It's not just about the talking. So what are they doing in their presentations? So I'm interested to see what they come up with. But hopefully they're not as cool as mine.
Hopefully, we can only hope. Do you plan on attending any other talks or presentations? Are you gonna check out what some of the other folks at PodFest have to offer?
Oh, I'm.
You're like, I was so stressed out about my thing. I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah, I'm going to. I listened to like their opening ceremony thing today, because this is PodFest pre-week, and they're just doing a bunch of like case studies. They're showing a bunch of case studies of people doing their pre-recorded videos. So I'll probably check some of those things out. There's like micro cons that are part of the convention. It's like, the video con or the bilingual speakers con and stuff like that, or military con. So I might check out some of that stuff. It's all online, so I can look at it on desktop. I can look at it on my mobile phone, and so I could be doing all that stuff while I'm actually working, because I'm teleworking this week and next. Well, perfect. So it actually works out for me.
Too easy to multitask and watch things while also being productive. Well, speaking of being productive, we have a couple of topics to discuss on this week's episode. The first is a film, a made-for-TV movie, if you will, came out on Hulu very recently. This is Palm Springs. I tried to get you to watch it. I think you were too busy making slides. Is that accurate?
No, actually, it's not. That'll be our fourth topic. What I was actually doing a lot of the time.
Oh, okay. All right.
But
you did not actually watch it.
No, I didn't. And you won't have watched the things that I watched, which
absolutely. So this is a movie that came out for Hulu, directed by Max Barbakow. It's got Andy Samberg, Kristen Milioti, yeah. Who I'm sorry, I'm always just going to know her as the mother from How I Met Your Mother. Yeah. We went through a phase in my house where we binge watched all of How I Met Your Mother, and ultimately this actress ended up being the mom. So if you watch that show, you know who we're talking about. But the Wikipedia article describes Palm Springs as a 2020 American romantic comedy film directed by Max Barbakow, written by Andy Sierra, and it would have premiered, or it had its world premiere at Sundance in January, and then it got a selected release, but now is out digitally on Hulu. Basically, this is a Groundhog's Day movie. Classic Groundhog's Day scenario where Andy Samberg is at a Palm Springs house. He wakes up with his girlfriend. She's getting ready to be in their friend's wedding. And we quickly discover that Andy Samberg's character has been reliving this day for a considerable amount of time. And the way that they reveal it in the film is kind of like you know what's happening. They're not trying to hide it from you. But by the end of that day, he unwittingly ends up bringing one of the actual sister of the bride, played by Kristen Milotti, into the time loop with him. And so now you experience this Groundhog's Day sort of story, but it's a little bit different, right? Now you have two people that are going through it. You have one person that's been doing it for a really long time, and then someone else who is new and is just being exposed to it. But Groundhog's Day has been a favorite movie of mine for a really long time, and
Sure.
And that concept of how would you act, how would you behave if you were repeating the same day over and over again? What would you do? What choices would you make? They add some really interesting questions to that in terms of what would it be like if you had another person experiencing that with you? What if one was more experienced in that scenario than the other? And what if there was a third person that was also repeatedly trying to torture and kill you? So all of these things happen. But yeah, it's a romantic comedy too. So there's a little bit of a love story. Brandon's checked out.
That's you said the R word.
But
Rated R for romantic comedy. You know I don't like rated R movies, Travis.
Yeah, I know that's right. But
what you liked it? You like
That's pretty good. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
What really stuck out to you about this movie for somebody who's not seen it and only know that it's within that genre of time loop films? What jumped out at you? Was it a groundhog? Was there a fucking groundhog in this movie?
There were no, like, there wasn't a groundhog. There was a goat. There was a goat.
Okay.
Well, so the movie starts where Andy Samberg's character has already been doing this time loop thing for a while. Like, we start the movie where he's been doing it long enough to where he doesn't have a great memory about not doing this.
Okay.
Which already is really interesting to me, because with Bill Murray in Groundhog's Day, like, you kind of go for the entire ride with him, start to finish, from when he starts looping to a lot of the different things that he tries, his excitement in it, his depression, him trying to kill himself over and over again, of finally some acceptance, him using it to his advantage to, learn to play the piano or learn ice sculptures or whatever, and eventually finding the best way to woo his significant other in the movie and somehow get out of the loop because love conquers all time loops or something like that. This movie recognizes the fact that all of that has been done in Groundhog's Day. And so it's not trying to remake that movie, but it's trying to kind of add on to it a little bit, because I should really learn their character names. Sarah, the female character, the first day that she wakes up in this time loop, she kind of is like, what's going on? Why is it the same day over and over again? And she kind of goes through a lot of those same things that Bill Murray went through in Groundhog's Day. But all the while, Andy Samberg is just like, no, we've done, like, you can't die. I've tried it. Try it just about every way you can. You just wake up and so, like, she kills herself one time. He's like, all right, you believe me now? Like, can we skip this part? And then they get into more of just a period of realizing that there are no consequences. And so what would you do if there are no consequences? And they do some fun stuff, but even that eventually grows stale. And it gets into the idea that even with no consequences, if you're doing the same thing over and over alone and nothing really matters, it's hard. It's hard to, like, feel like anything matters, I guess, at that point. And the one thing that Andy Samberg's character really figures out is that the relationship with Sarah is what matters to him. So meanwhile, she gets to a breaking point where she wants out. She absolutely wants out, and there's good reasons why, especially considering how she wakes up every day. And so then she decides to sort of put it on herself to figure out a way out. And I don't want to give that stuff away, but I was really kind of pleasantly surprised with how she gets out, like, and how she figures out what to do, because Niles, that's Andy Samberg's character, he sort of just decides to live with it, right? And by the time the movie starts, he's drinking beers in the pool in the morning. He's going to this wedding, the same wedding that he's been going to every day, day after day. He just shows up in, like, a Hawaiian shirt and shorts, and he just kind of rolls through it, drinks throughout the day, and just coasts through it, making minimal alterations to what he does day in and day out. So I don't know. I thought it was really interesting. I like the unique aspect of time loops and timelines and how people can manipulate those. So I would recommend it, especially if you have a Hulu subscription, because then it's free.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I like those movies. I didn't see Russian Doll. That was another one of those types of things.
Yeah.
This one, obviously, I would say my favorite of the not my favorite not Groundhog's Day movie is Happy Death Day, which it's the same concept, but it is all about she keeps waking up after getting murdered every day, and she has to figure out who the murderer is. So there's it sounds like there's something similar in Palm Springs, but
so I will say, like, there's an earthquake that happens the day of this time loop, right? And it opens up this cave that if you walk into this cave, that's what gets you into the time loop, right? And so J.K. Simmons is a guest at the wedding, and on one particular loop, Andy Samberg parties way too hard with J.K. Simmons and ends up bringing him through the time loop with him. And then J.K. Simmons' character turns out to be really psychotic, I guess, and gets really mad that he's stuck in this time loop with Niles, and so sadistically kills him over and over and over again for a period of time. So the first time through the day, he Niles is making out with Sarah out in the desert near the cave, and all of a sudden gets shot with an arrow. And there's this weird bearded guy that just shoots him a couple times, who we later find out is this character that he's brought through the loops with him. But yeah, it's interesting. It's I don't know. There's some good gags. If I had to critique this movie negatively, I would say that it's not super deep on the romantic side, but it's not super deep on the comedy side either. Like there were certainly jokes that really landed for me, but this wasn't like a laugh a minute, hilarious film.
It wasn't quite a romantic comedy. It wasn't a rom-com. It was like a Roco.
Sure. It was abbreviated. It was abbreviated at least, yeah.
It was an abbreviation because it sounds to me like it didn't do either of them to any kind of real rom-com length.
No, like I wouldn't put this in a category with traditional rom-coms, right? But the fact that there is a romantic aspect to it and it centers around heteronormative couple, I guess, like that, it starts checking boxes for a romantic comedy pretty quickly. So, but yeah, I would say check it out if you've got like an hour and a half to kill and Hulu's available and you're not watching the restart of basketball in the Orlando bubble. Then
that's what I wanted to talk about.
That's what you want to? I've had you had me going.
Always getting you with that basketball interest.
Thunder lost a close one today in the bubble against Denver. Went to overtime. They didn't have the legs for it. But anyway,
Anyways,
what did you watch, Brandon? What did you watch?
Watch Happy Death Day to You. It's a really good movie. The sequel is pretty good too. It takes a different, but I didn't watch Palm Springs because it was Friday, I think, and I was getting ready for my big day, right?
Your big B day?
The big B day. I'm like, you know what? Let's see what's on Shudder. Let's see what's on Shudder.
For a second, I was like, what were you preparing for your birthday? Which, by the way, everybody, head out to Twitter, tell Brandon late happy birthday. Go fill, write us emails. Please do it. Okay. Anyway, you went to Shudder, and what?
Went to Shudder. Just looking around Shudder to see what was on, and there was a documentary called "In Search of Darkness," and it's like 4 hours and some change long, and it's all about 80s horror movies, and it goes through each one of the years, and it talks about the horror movies of that year, and it talks about specific like subcategories like horror icons and the heroes and stuff like that. So we started watching that. We got to 1982, and then we paused it, and I said, "Well, we'll finish watching it tomorrow." And then the next day we ended up watching, because Sleepaway Camp came out in 81, and like, or 82, yeah, 81 or 82, and yeah, Chelsea had never seen it. Let's watch it. So we watched Sleepaway Camp on my birthday, and then we went right back into watching In Search of Darkness, and it's really, really, really good, because I grew up on horror films, and just watching all of them, like seeing the directors and writers, special effects people, random other people like Cassandra Peterson, Joe Bob is in there, Darcy the Mail Girl. They're talking about those same films that I grew up with, and it was fun. We just finished it tonight, and that's a long time for documentaries.
Like is it like a documentary series, or
no,
is it just like a long documentary?
It's just a long ass documentary, man. Yeah. But there were some really good folks in there. I listening to a couple of people talk. John Carpenter is a crotchety old dick. Chelsea doesn't like him. He's funny just in a like, God, you're such an old crotchety man. Joe Dante, who directed The Howling, he directed Gremlins. Love that guy. I love the way he talks. And then this director Larry Cohen, who directed such greats as Q the Winged Serpent and The Stuff. He was a joy to listen to talk. I don't know if you've ever seen The Stuff, Travis, but
do you want to bet on whether or not I've seen it?
Yes. We can't get enough of The Stuff. That whole movie is about basically like people eat this product called The Stuff, and it looks kind of like marshmallow dip, or like where you
yeah it's what you put in fluffernutters.
Yeah. And people eat this, and it infects them in some way, shape, or form. Anyway, Larry Cohen, the director, was talking. He passed away, but he did this before he passed away, and he was just talking about like, yeah, the stuff was hard to handle. Kids, parents, adults. You can deal with them normally, but there's agents and there's union reps. The stuff, you just have to, when no one's looking, you just hit it with a hammer, and it'll do whatever you want it to do. It's like, he's being really weird about an inanimate object that looks like melted ice cream. And I just really liked it. And rest in peace, Larry Cohen.
Yeah, I just looked at the Wikipedia page for The Stuff. Interesting.
Can't get enough of stuff.
The poster's really interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. All right. Wow. There's a lot of people in the cast.
Solid movie. Michael Moriarty, great actor in that.
There you go. Well, I'm glad you got to spend your birthday weekend watching horror documentaries, because that seems like the perfect way for you to spend it. I did a thing this weekend. Well, this week, I guess. I don't know. It started over the weekend, maybe. It started. It seems so long ago.
You build a house.
I built a house. I built all sorts of things. I want to say it was like a Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe. And I came down to the old computer, the office where I podcast and play some video games, and I opened up Steam, Brandon, and I was like, what do I want to play? What is a game I can play? What is gonna scratch that itch for me? I want to do something that's a little bit different than what I've been playing. And I'd heard some really good stuff about Satisfactory, which is a first-person Factorio, basically, which I mentioned to you, and you were like, let's just play Factorio, and then I don't have to worry about motion sickness. And I was like, yeah, I could play that. But what is that game essentially? It's me doing more chores in a game to automate productions and do all this stuff. When I've got
it's so fun.
It is fun. It is fun. But it suddenly got me thinking about Minecraft again. And I'm sure we've talked about Minecraft on this podcast, especially over the years. I've gone through fits and starts with Minecraft. But my kids are all at an age where they could all play Minecraft. They occasionally play it on their own. But I wanted them to really get into it. And I kind of wanted to see if there was a way to play with them. And obviously Minecraft has come a long way since I first hosted a Minecraft server on my personal computer 10 years ago or whatever it was now. They've set up the realm system and all this stuff. It's on every platform imaginable, from PC to every console. to mobile devices. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to start up a realm. Maybe I can get Brandon to join me. But at least I can open it up so that my kids could play with me, and then we could try this out. See if playing with my kids is the way for me to get back into Minecraft. And so that's what we did this week. And
was it?
So yeah, I mean, I've been playing a lot of Minecraft lately, but so far it feels like a lot of the same things that I always do when I first start playing Minecraft, right? So I start out, I find a nice area to start building in. I build me a little house. I start digging a mine, start getting those materials, and then I build a farm. And then after I build up a lot of this stuff, then I'm like, all right, cool, time to start exploring. And I've done all of those things, Brandon, with one unique exception. Now I have two other people that are playing with me who expect me to be their like supply for everything in the game. and so now it's like I'm not just playing for one, but I'm playing for three.
Well, that's good. You know, it slows you down a little bit.
It does. Like my youngest is like, "Hey, Dad, can I have some more blocks to build a house?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I've got like a whole chest of cobblestone over here. Let me just I drop a bunch of cobblestone." And then she's like, "Oh, great." And then I go and do something, and I come back. She's like, "My house is done. Check it out." And a giant monolithic cobblestone cube is there with a door on it, which is only there because I dropped a door for her. And then like I'm like, well, hey, maybe you should like make a second story. Maybe you should try doing this. Let's put this in there. Let's do that. But then she's like, well, I'm out of blocks. Can I have more blocks, Dad? And I was like, here, how about I give you tools, and then you can go get your own blocks. And she doesn't really go for that as much. My son is a little bit more. My son's a little bit more like self-sufficient, but still he's asking a lot of the questions like, well, how do I make this? How do I make this? The thing that's actually driving him to make a lot of different things is the achievements in the game, because they give you like unlockable skins and stuff for certain achievements. So he's like, hey, Dad, how do I make a book? I'm like, well, what are you trying to use the book for? It gives me this crown. I just want this cool new shirt, Dad. That's why. Oh, okay. Well, all right. Here's this, and this. You make it. But it is fun. They've been very into it this week, and yeah. And then you know, your son showed up a few times. You showed up in there at one point, but the entire time I was in there to check on you. I think you were AFK. So I just kind of
this Saturday night.
Yeah. You're like, I'm actually checking out Minecraft. I was like, oh, cool. And I hop on and I like send you a couple of chat messages, and so then I find you and your avatar is just like standing there.
You know what happened? It was like what, 11:30, 11:45, and it was getting ready to be Sunday, and I'm like, you know, I was feeling good. I sat down on the couch, start up the Xbox, feeling good. You know, oh, let's play a game. Woo! All right, start up Minecraft. I sent you that message. Hey, I'm gonna check this realm out. And then as it's loading, I close my eyes for half a second, and I'm like, oh, that feels pretty good. And it was such a stark change, because I was not sleepy when I started that Xbox, and in that span of like 20 seconds of the loading screen, man, it feels good. Get to the realm. I don't even know how I got to the realm. I sleepwalked. I sleepwalked through the menus to the realm, and I got there, and then another bit of loading. Oh man, this feels good. These eyes closing. And then I get in, I look around for a second. I moved my left thumbstick around. And then I went to sleep. And when I woke up in the morning, I started Minecraft up again. I didn't even realize that you had gone in there.
Yeah.
When I went back in there, I must have starved to death or something because there was nothing on my person. There was absolutely nothing. Or I was murdered by monsters, and just everything was dropped. So,
yeah, I got in there, and there was a creeper outside of the house that your son had built.
Yeah.
And I ran over there, and you hadn't responded to my message, and then the creeper started chasing after me, and I was like, ah. And typically I can handle a creeper, no problem.
Sure.
But for whatever reason, I did not get away quickly enough, and it totally blew up and made a creeper hole not far from the house that you were resting in. And so I was like, oh man. And so I'm like, fixing the creeper hole, fill it all up. And then and I was like, he's not really moving in there. Well, I'm pretty tired. I wasn't really gonna play anyway, so I went and checked the farm, check another thing, and I was like, yeah, I'll just
see you later.
I'll just get off. So I was kind of picking up that you weren't being super active in the game, and then let you do your thing. But I gotta say that game has continued to add new things and work to stay relevant, I guess. I mean, it is the most popular game in history, I think. But it's still really satisfying to play when I jump in, and some of the things that they've added, there's all kinds of new things you can build that I'm confused about, and I find myself going back to the Minecraft wiki and having to look up what does this new table do? What is this new item for? There's new mobs that they've added in, and then with their recent Nether update, I finally built a Nether portal and went down in there. And
you finally built a Nether portal?
Yeah, after a few days.
But that's not the first time you've ever built one.
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Oh, that's what I was like. You played the game for so long, and you just no, I never need to get to that point. Never need to go by anything.
No, I mean, I went a good 3 or 4 days before I was like, all right, I guess I'll build another portal now. And went into the Nether.
House.
What?
There's one across from the cruise house.
There is. I built it across the water because the last time I played it, mobs could move through Nether portals. And if you didn't protect your portal, zombie pigmen could just start showing up randomly in the overworld.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want that to happen, so I built it across the water as a layer of protection. And then later I found that someone had built a dirt bridge across the water to it. And I was like, all right, well, that's fine. I built a house around it anyway, so not a big deal. Everything should be fine.
No,
but
I didn't build a dirt bridge to it. No,
I don't know that you did. I'm just saying someone did.
Oh yeah, because I built an extension to our property line, so we get a little bit of extra farmland in there, I didn't extend it all the way to the island.
No, there's just a single path of dirt blocks across the river now. There's a few of them. I would blame a Menard kid before a cruise resident. Because the cruise boys are too lazy to do that. We just swim over there. Yeah,
we're we'd swim over there every time.
But I will say a few critiques about Minecraft, especially in the Microsoft era.
Too many versions.
It's great. It's great that it's on everything. It's great that I can play it on my computer. I can play it on my Xbox. We bought it for the Switch. I can play it on my phone, my iPad, you name it. That's terrific. Having to create a Microsoft account for each one of my offspring in order for them all to have unique accounts, a little frustrating. but doable, especially because I have a Windows PC. I can do it from my Windows PC. I can create kids accounts. That's great. But then the convoluted web system that I have to go through to make sure that 2 of the 80 possible child safety options for child accounts are checked correctly so that they can both join online games and like be in clubs or whatever, which are both required in order to allow them to play online. That took a lot of time. And so when you fire up the game on the Switch, you have to like go to a link on another device, enter in a code, make sure that their login is set up the right way before they can start playing.
Well, now I know why it took you so long to build another portal.
Yeah, exactly. It's because I was approving all those accounts. But yeah, I will ask you as the resident Xbox expert. I can't. You still can't share an Xbox Live account, right? Like when I buy the Nintendo Online account for our Switch,
there's no family account.
Yeah, all of my kids can play online. Like every one of them can. Regardless of which like account they use on the Switch, everybody can play online for online games. My Xbox Live is tied to my gamer tag, so I am the only one that can use Minecraft on the Xbox and actually play in the realm. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I think so. Unless you make like a guest account.
But can a guest account go on to online by themselves? I mean, I guess maybe.
I don't know. I don't know if it's Jugglemino guest 1. It might be. I don't know. I haven't really tested it out.
Because it's weird when you create one of those Microsoft accounts for like a kid, it creates Xbox. It creates an Xbox gamer tag for them. So I don't know. Like I maybe I should try logging in on my Xbox with one of those accounts and just see what happens.
Yeah, hey, give it a shot. It might be the worst that can happen is it says you must have Xbox Live Gold to play this on Xbox.
I love consoles. They're the best.
That's the worst. That's the worst that could happen.
Anyway, Minecraft is fun. Brandon, you should come exploring with me. As soon as I save up enough food for a journey, I'm gonna go fill some maps and go explore the worlds of Minecraft.
Okay, yeah. I'm completely down with it. I was on there for a couple hours Sunday, trying to expand, like I said, expand the property line, work on a little farm, gather some resources. That way, when my son comes back into the game, he's like, oh, look at this! I got more stuff that I can work. I chopped up a bunch of wood. I got some excess wood.
You saw the livestock I'm putting out there, right? Like.
I did. You're trying to outdo my kid. I get it.
No, it's because I made an automatic meat cooker thing. So they have a smoker now. Did you know there was a smoker block in the game?
I didn't
know
that.
It cooks meat twice as fast as a furnace. So I hooked it up with the 3 chests and the hoppers. So that there's a chest for fuel, there's a chest for raw meat, and there's a chest where it spits out the cooked meat. And so you can just fill the chest with all these excess goods, and then it will automatically cook it all and put it in a chest for you. Because Minecraft automation is the true end game, and that's what I like to do. Yeah.
Well, I am right there with you for automation. That's the part I always want to get to, and it's a part that I'm always that's my critique with Minecraft and those types of games, is because there is so much gap of knowledge from step 1 to step 10 that I'm like, I don't really know where to go without having to look up a tutorial again on. Well, this is the next step. Okay, well, you did a stone axe. Congratulations. You should now. At this point in time, you should start mining. Like I don't know. I used
You're
to
like,
know
but how do I make a TI-82 calculator with redstone? How does that happen? When do I get to that one?
When do I get to that point? Like I played it. I used to play it a lot, and you'd think I would remember some of that stuff. I don't like offhand. I forget how to make torches because it's been so long, right?
Yeah, and that's the other critique I have about the Microsoft version of it is how it has the recipes for every kind of block in it automatically to where you can just like
how to do it.
If you click the like thumbstick, it'll tell you the recipe for it.
Oh, okay.
Which I'm old school to where I had to go look it up on the internet every time I wanted to make something.
Yeah.
And you had to put each piece in the crafting table in the right orientation. Otherwise, it wouldn't produce it. That, to me, I'm OG that way. I'm back from the beta days. You know how we roll.
Yeah, I know.
It is way more convenient though to just be like, yeah, I need more torches. Click, 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 click. Okay, cool. Got all my torches. Good.
Yeah. They've streamlined that a lot over the years to not have to worry about all that extra.
It's made it easier. What we should do, Brandon, is you and I should run off into some like random field or something when like none of the kids are playing, and we should build some sort of like experience for them, and then be like, all right, guys, go find, the haunted village or whatever. Yeah. And then they'd have to go and like play through our little like mini game that we built.
And then they use a bunch of axes and pickaxes and then just destroy everything because they're cheating little shits.
That is true. That is accurate.
Yeah. Well, speaking of experiences, a game came out. The game I was playing this weekend. It came out actually last week or maybe 2 weeks ago. I wasn't expecting it to come out. It kind of surprised me. I knew that there was going to be a new version, but I didn't know that it was now. And that game is a Switch title, Paper Mario: The Origami King. And I don't know if you ever played Super Mario RPG back in the day.
Very little.
I don't know if you played Paper Mario back in the day, or any of the Paper Marios. I don't know if you played Mario and Luigi Superstars on any of the 3DS.
I think we've established how hardcore I am about RPG games in general on this podcast.
Yeah. Well, so I'm a huge Super Mario RPG is one of my favorite RPGs, if not my favorite RPG that I've played multiple times. And Paper Mario came out way back in the day for the GameCube. I think that's the first one it came out for.
Yeah.
And I loved that it was an extension of Super Mario RPG, just in like a quirky little 2D character Mario. And
the original Paper Mario was on Nintendo 64.
Oh, there it is. Thank you.
Thank you. I still got one of those in that closet right there.
Thank you for the correction. So I think like Nintendo Direct mentioned that there's going to be a new Paper Mario earlier this year or last year, and I'm like, yeah, woo! Good thing I got a Switch. So when it popped up last week or whenever, I'm like, day one buy. Like I'm gonna buy it, and it is a great looking game. It the things they do with the paper aesthetic, with like the gimmicks and the gags that they do with 2D, you would think like, oh, like how good can a game look if it's just everything looks like paper? And it just, the things they do with it are just it blows my mind, the design choices. But for example, there's a little scene where they're going down a river, and the blue of the river is sheets of paper like kind of ripped at the edges, and just the way they interact with each other makes it look like an undercurrent, and on top of it is like another kind of just a single sheet of torn paper that looks like the wave on top of it. And how they layer those things together is just God, beautiful. It's beautiful. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. But the origami part too, like that is also an extra layer of it now, because the villain is an origami character, and origami made of paper. Everything is 2D in Paper Mario, with the exception of origami. So origami, like all your like the classic Mario characters are starting to get folded into these 3-dimensional characters, and those are the enemies you fight. It's just really fun. Those games are always so full of humor, and I sent you a quick video of a boss fight towards one of the second boss fights, and this isn't going to spoil anything, but they're on a stage. You know, you're looking at a stage, and there's a weird West Side Story thing that happens.
Yeah.
And these Koopas come out from one side of the stage, and you're looking at the stage, and they're coming out and they're snapping towards a birdo. And the music from like West Side Story is playing. And then all of a sudden on the other side, some red Koopas come out, and then they start snapping to the music. And it's just
bunch of snapping turtles. That's what those are.
Hey,
and we're back. Yeah, that, I mean, it sounds great. I don't play those games. But I probably should. I feel like I should give those games a shot.
Well, what I would say about this, I talk about RPGs. This game isn't that much of an RPG. I think they, over the years, with new versions of Paper Mario, they've taken away some of that like leveling up type aspect. The real RPG-ness of those games, where you fight monsters, you fight Koopas, whatever. You get experience points, you level up, you build up your abilities, what have you, right? RPG staple. Origami King, you don't do any of that. Like, you get items, you get weapons. You don't really have any party members. And it's just Mario, his companion, and then maybe another companion. So far, I'm only 3 levels into the game, but that's like 12 hours so far.
Right.
The fights are kind of cool, because they're not you picking a move and then activating the move. It's not just that. Like, you're in the center of 4, like, kind of a center circle, and then there's 4 layers outside of that circle, and so the enemies line up on those circles and slots, and every battle is a puzzle, and so you have to line up the enemies either in a row or in a grouping of 4 close to you, so you can either jump on them or use your hammer to smash them up close. If you line them up perfectly, then your damage goes up by like times 1.5.
Okay.
And that's how you beat the battles. And then if you win without taking any damage, getting the puzzle perfect, then you get extra coins for it. So
that does sound cool.
When I mentioned it to you, like, it's fun, it's good to do with your kids. That's how it's fun to do with your kids, because it's slow, it's not action packed. You're not like, there's no Twitch gameplay. You're experiencing a story, and then occasionally you're fighting battles, but you're being like, oh, okay, which road do I want to spin, or which road do I want to adjust to make it a perfect match and get that 1.5 damage.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, maybe I'll have to check it out. Did you go direct digital buy? Did you download it direct?
Yeah, I did. I'm too COVID weary to try to go get the hard device. I bought I bought an SD drive,
one of the SD card with like all the memory you could possibly need.
Yeah, exactly.
That's good.
Games that I wanted right now.
I went we were gonna buy Minecraft for the Switch in a store, but every store in my state is sold out of Minecraft for the Switch.
Wow.
But like Target Online had it with like free shipping or whatever for the same price. So we had to wait like 3 days. But then they delivered it to our house. And my thought behind that is we have 2 Switch consoles in our house with my Switch Lite and then the OG Switch. And that allows me to move it back and forth depending on if I want to play on my Nintendo Lite or whether the kids want to play on the Switch. And at some point, as is always the case with Minecraft in my house, someone's going to get tired of playing that game. And then whether it's me or whether it's the kids, I don't know who's going to come first. But then we'll at least have the other can have it available to play whenever somebody wants to. So
Yeah, I think my kid is done with playing Minecraft for now. One, because one thing explodes and all of a sudden he's crying about how all his time was wasted and how it's not fair.
We've definitely shed some tears in my house over Minecraft this week. That has definitely happened.
Yeah. But he gets a game a month, whether it's for his iPad or the Switch or Xbox or PS4. And for August, the game that he got, and we won't talk too much about this, is a game called Gorn.
Oh, my son has been asking for Gorn.
Oh, really?
And I have yet to cave on that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's been playing Gorn, and it's a VR game. We have it for PS4, PSVR, and he just sits there. It's like a gladiator type of game where you are just this huge burly gladiator and you fight other big burly gladiators with weapons, and it's bloodied and like you're killing them and you just like you're walking around in circles just killing as many things as you can. So he's been doing that, and I'm sure that his
mental health will be fine. And yeah, you've also uncovered the reason why I haven't purchased Gorn for my son yet.
Yeah,
although I hear there's like a candy mode where instead of blood it just shoots out candy or something. So
I don't know. I haven't looked at it.
I don't know.
I came home. I came home from work and I saw that he was playing it, and I wasn't feeling that great when I came home, and so I spent like 20 seconds watching it. He's like, "Dad, look at this." I'm like, "Oh God, nope, I feel sick already."
Oh yeah. So you get sick watching it being played on the TV?
Yeah, sometimes. I wasn't feeling good already. Like I drank a Red Bull on an empty stomach at the end of the day.
Well, there you go.
And yeah, it was a bad mixture.
Real curious, is playing VR more motion sickness inducing than watching like a motion-based game on a TV?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Yeah,
because for me, like I've only ever really felt motion sickness like from a video game in VR. VR sickness is definitely a real thing for me. The first time I ever like did a demo of like an Oculus, or I think it was a Vive headset. It was at like a trade show type thing, and I put it on, and I was looking around, but the guy that was demoing it was moving me around with like the arrow keys.
That's right.
And I like looked behind me, and he moved forward, and like my body went in one direction, my head was like the other, and immediately I was like, oh no, okay, don't want this. And then I've played some other games where the motion mechanics were just, they were off enough to where it made me feel sick. But most other games where like it's room scale or something like that, and I can move around freely, like I forget half the time I'm in a video game to like where the motion and the things mimic your real motion. That I'm really curious how that works for you as a person that has to take Dramamine before a gaming session.
Well, it depends, right? Because the motion sick is all coming from the equilibrium in my head, whatever, the ears and all that type of stuff. And the reason you get motion sick is because your body's saying, oh, there's something wrong inside of you, get rid of it. And so if I had like coffee or something like that, I'm already not feeling great, or I had too much sugar, or I didn't eat anything, or whatever, then I'm far more susceptible to being like starting watching the kid in a VR session and it's on the screen and me being like, oh, if I'm fine, if I'm like ready to play a game, then a lot of times that doesn't happen. Like if I'm playing GTA or from really, I say GTA is just the closest example right now. And we've talked about it on the show before. If my character, if I'm so into what the character is doing and I'm like running around, I'm shooting some cops and I hit an invisible barrier that in my head, I'm like, my on-screen persona should still be moving forward. Why isn't he moving forward? And you're kind of like, just like when you're playing a game, you're getting tense and you're like, like trying to run forward. You're like, you're like a driving game. You're turning the controllers. You're trying to turn right or left, right? That's what your body's doing that. So playing GTA, I'm the character. I'm like, I want to move forward. And same thing with VR. You feel like you should be moving forward. You feel like there should be forward momentum, but yet your character on screen is getting blocked by something invisible. And how that interacts with the equilibrium in my head sometimes makes me feel sick in those types of games. More so for first-person shooters than GTA, but it was just an example.
Very interesting. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
It's weird because I feel like I'm way more passive, I think, when I play games. In terms of like if we're playing like a GTA or something like that, a lot of the time I'm more like just kick back in my chair, just like, all right, moving. I'm less like moving my body with it. So I don't know. That's just how we're different. That's just us.
Yeah. We are different, everyone.
What I will say though is you better believe I'll be throwing the VR headset on when we play Star Wars Squadrons in a few months because buddy.
Can't wait.
Be flying some X-Wings and TIE fighters and all kinds of
stuff. Day one purchase. Oh, speaking of day one purchase, Battletoads.
Meow.
Battletoads featuring Ryan Ridley as the voice of Zitz.
There you go. That'll be a lot of fun to play as well. What do they have a release date for that yet?
They do, I think, but I don't know what it is.
You didn't memorize that?
No, I didn't. I saw it last night as I was watching Turkey Trot on Shudder.
Obviously, of course you were. This is the original Battletoads. Battletoads 2020 video game released August 20th.
It's right. That's right. It's right around the corner.
It's 2 days after my birthday, guys. Day one purchase, birthday purchase.
Your birthday's in August?
Shut up. Get out of here.
All right. Well.
All right. That's our show. Send all birthday wishes to care of Brandon at
Juggle.
That's our show. Thank you guys so much for listening. We are gonna go run off right now and record the second of a podcast double feature, doing an episode of Submitted for Your Approval, a Twilight Zone podcast with none other than your host Brandon Cruz. If you have not listened to Submitted for Your Approval and you are a Twilight Zone fan, go to our website, go to apatheticenthusiasm.com, go to your favorite podcatcher, wherever you listen to podcasts, look up Submitted for Your Approval. The first episode, one of my favorites. because I'm on it. But yeah, Brandon is churning out. I don't know. I'm plugging your show for you because you're too humble. But do you want to plug your actual Twilight Zone show?
I do a show called Submitted for Your Approval. It's Twilight Zone Podcast. Yeah, I'm not good at it.
If you like Twilight Zone, go check out this podcast and or head over to YouTube or Twitch and you can catch it live. Well, Twitch you're probably too late. Go to YouTube and look up the August 3rd episode for the doubleheader. But all right, that's it for us. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you guys for rating, reviewing, following, subscribing, everything that you do. And we will be back soon with another episode. Let us know if you watched or played any of those movies or games, what your guys' thoughts were. And yeah, stay safe out there, everybody. Hope you guys have a good week.
Stay safe, Cincinnati. We'll see ya later.
Bye.
I mean, we're not in Cincinnati, but maybe somebody listening is in Cincinnati.
WKRP in Cincinnati.
Was that based off of a song, or was the song based off of the show? That's what I want to know.
Nobody will ever know, and there's no way to tell. Hey guys, if you're just tuning in, for starters, why so quiet? Let us know that you're here. Let us know that you're watching. We are now in limbo. We are in the in-between times. We are doing 2 episodes tonight based on the title of this stream. That's probably apparent to you. But we just finished Apathetic Enthusiasm, and we are going to get ready to do Submitted for Your Approval. Yeah, that's the name of your show, right? Submitted for Your Approval. A Twilight Zone podcast where Brandon's in charge. I take a back seat. I'm just here to hang. You're in charge. I don't have to know things. I don't need show notes. I don't.
You don't have to know. You don't know.
I'm gonna run the stream is what I'm gonna do. Do you? I mean, I'm assuming. Would you like me to record my own audio?
Yes, I would. I would like you to record your own audio.
Okay. What's today's date? The 3rd.
Today is the 3rd. Indeed.
The 3rd. All right. Well, then I'm gonna render this bad boy real quick, so we can chat with you guys, hang out, let us know that you're here.
Yeah.
Or I could just run an ad for both of you.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that.
No, you do that. I think of the 2 viewers, who are the 2 viewers?
Are you one of them, Brandon? Are you?
Yeah, I'm always one of them. Just
are we both of them? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I don't know how to see who the other people are in the chat.
I didn't know you could even see who's watching your streams. I didn't think that was a thing.
Oh, there's a new extension available. Oh, there's a new version of Streamlabs.
Brandon, can I tell you? I think I already told you this. Can I tell you the most old person thing I've done in a long time?
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
It's the New York Times crossword puzzle.
Oh, there's nothing old about that.
It felt really old. So here's I got a New York Times.
Does that social media go in and out every once in a while?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You didn't know that? Yeah. So it comes in and out. It'll go off screen. It'll slide back in. I think I intended on having more things in there. I think eventually I was going to put sponsors in there if we ever actually got sponsors, but that's not really a thing that we do on this show. Yeah, I did the daily mini puzzle from New York Times because there's a link in an email, and I did that, and it gave me a link to their New York Times crossword puzzle app, and I was like, I'm gonna check this app out. And then I had my morning coffee and the crossword puzzle, and I'm plugging through this thing, and then I'm talking to Sheena. I'm like, Sheena, what's a 4-letter word for flurp flarp? And she's like, oh, what about this? And then pretty soon she's sitting next to me on the couch, oh, what about this? And then she looks over and she's like, this is what my grandparents do. And I was like, exactly. We're keeping our minds sharp so that we can stay with it when we hit our golden years. I said the only way we're gonna live to be 100 and be that really like annoying old couple at events when they're like, "Who here has been married for 50 years?" And we're like, "It's us. We're the old people." Yeah, we got to do the crossword puzzle. So, yeah. And I got a notification that Tuesday's puzzle is available in the app. So, what's a 4-letter word for trying too hard?
Every you know what? Let's see if I can do something here. I'm gonna try to do something here.
Try to do it.
Oh, wait a minute. I know I need to do S4YA, but I also need to do this. Let's see.
Was I supposed to already have seen the episode?
You're all cute, you know that?
That's a joke, everybody. That's what we call in the biz, a joke.
Video. There we go. Oh no.
Oh no. Oh, you know who I should have brought in as a special guest for the Minecraft segment?
Who's that? F that guy.
He makes children cry.
Check this out. OBS virtual. Oh.
Whoa. What is that? Is that your what is going on?
Oh my gosh. Oh my
There's
gosh.
a little wheel spinning.
Yeah. It's virtual camera.
Virtual cameras being virtualized. Our pets' heads are falling off. Voices of fandom.
Oh,
there he is.
Oh.
Two Jerrys and a Morty.
This isn't what I wanted to actually do. I wanted to let's see. Let's get another scene here. Test scene.
Lifelong fan of things. That's excellent.
Yeah. Okay. Window. What is that? Not window capture. Video capture device.
Ladies and gentlemen, Brandon is now streaming a black screen for your viewing enjoyment.
All right.
Oh, look at all his notifications.
Yeah, I'm really bad. Is that you see that? You see that all right?
Yeah, I can see you need to check Snapchat.
Ooh, what's these tacos? Ooh, boss, like a boss.
Look at how many points he has.
All right. So I do this every day, a daily challenge, puzzles every day. This is my rating. You can see my rating. Yeah. Oh, damn it.
Paywalled. Speaking of paywalls, head to patreon.com/rickandmortypod to support this sort of shenanigans.
Look at that. I just have to go as fast as I can. Look, that's boom, checkmate. You know, that's and then I just do the daily puzzles every day, and
You do that daily?
I do this
daily. Remind me not to play chess with you anymore.
Yeah, you gotta keep your brain.
What's your email notifications look like?
Oh boy, you want to see what my email notification? Actually, not too terrible.
Bro, I have all of our email accounts in mail, and I have thousands of emails now. Because it's just too much. Hey, somebody in Discord wants to say something.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
well, that's it. Oh, there's my notifications.
Just pull them all behind the curtain. Let's see what the weather's like where you live. Go ahead and log into your bank account. Let's check that one out.
I thought about it. Okay.
Well, I think it's time. I think it's more than time to switch roles and move you from the right side of the screen to the left side. And of course, I'm talking about.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Oh my God. I'm wait. I'm I'm waiting for it to pop up in stream so I can look at all its greatness. Yeah. Yeah, well, I might need to just get a little bit more wine. Now you have to wait. Now you have to wait. I'll be all right. Make sure you talk to the people in stream right now, and make sure let them know that we care about them. It got dark there for a second. Yeah, true that. True that. Okay, well, are you recording? You want to record? All right. Okay.
You asked for. You asked for. You asked.
Okay. No, I was just making. You asshole. You asshole. All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm recording now too. And then, yeah. What? Really? Why would you be nervous? Oh, don't. Even like between years, this is still a better, more downloaded. You want to talk about that for a second? Wait. Okay. All right. Hey, everybody, stay tuned for the post show after where we talk about this show. All right. Okay. Sounds good. In 5, 4, 3, 2.
You asked for it. Here it is. It's a podcast from Apathetic Enthusiasm.
Welcome to a world of exploration, thought, and discussion, sequentially through 156 episodes of Rod Serling's seminal classic, The Twilight Zone. Welcome to Submitted for Your Approval.
Yes, that is right. Welcome to Submitted for Your Approval, a Twilight Zone podcast. I am here. I am Brandon Cruz, and welcome to the show. This is a special show, if only because I'm doing it live with my good pal, my good buddy, longtime podcast host. This is his bio. Everything that you know about him is associated with me and nothing else. He is Travis Menard, friend of Brandon Cruz. Welcome, Travis. Welcome to the show. Well, I say this to you all the time, and I mean it when I say it. The pleasure is all yours. So that's such a stupid. That is an old joke. Yeah, submitted for your approval. A co-host roasting podcast, uh, with periodic appearances from Rod Serling. Yeah, how are you, Travis? I haven't talked to you in a long time. How have things been? Yeah. Yeah, no, one, I'm glad that you have fixed your technical things behind the scenes and then brought them to the forefront so everybody knows that, hey, sometimes when you're doing things live, shit happens. Live. Well, everybody, I don't want to belabor this too long, especially for the Twitch viewers who are watching this live, which actually just includes me and Travis monitoring the feed. But we're here to talk about an episode from season 3. We're talking about season 3, episode 17, One More Pallbearer. It originally aired January 12th of 1962. It stars Joseph Wiseman as Paul Radin, Trevor Bardette as Colonel Hawthorne, Catherine Squire as Mrs. Langford, and it was directed by Lamont Johnson, who directed many other episodes, and written by Rod Serling, who I think this is his debut script for the show. Believe it or not, I don't believe it. It's a lie. I made it up. I saw your face, Travis. He waited 3 seasons to write an episode? Crazy. He's a showrunner. Um, Travis, I don't know if you know this. I'm pretty sure you know this, but when I started this series, when I started this podcast, synopsises went way too long. And we would spend maybe 5, 10, 30, 100% of the show just talking about the synopsis itself. And so what I did was I shifted that around and I made a game. And I made a game called You, Me, and IMDb Synopses. And you and I both know, talking about Rick and Morty and all the movies and TV shows that we've come across, that sometimes the IMDb synopsis is it's sometimes it's good, sometimes it's awful. So here's what we do. All right, you give me a 1 to 2 sentence synopsis of the episode. I'll give you mine, and then we'll compare it to IMDb. What do you say about that? What do you say about that, my friend? I know you have, but you're still flashing back to the very first episode we did together. Well, do you? I will go first since I didn't pre-prepare you for this. My synopsis is as thus: a man learns to fall in love with One Republic and realizes for some it's too late to apologize. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. And it's not even really what the synopsis is, but I really wanted. I had it stuck in my head when I was coming up with the synopsis. Oh, on the villain. Oh, man, that is deep. That is deep. That's like the Bee Gees song. Really, you didn't? You didn't. That wasn't a pre-written. Okay. All right, we're gonna play topics from a hat after this. Okay, IMDb synopsis. Wealthy Paul Radin tries to get three people from his past to apologize to him by offering them shelter from a staged and phony nuclear war scenario. There it is. There it is. We spent 5 minutes talking about how to talk about synopsis rather than actually go over the synopsis. And that was you, me, and IMDb synopses. Travis, I'm going to give it to you because I always give it to my guests. I think yours was better than mine. But I think yours was better than IMDb, to be honest with you. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, please don't be angry with me. Well, Travis, we're gonna move on to the actual episode. You know, I really hope you stop, kind of, displaying. Why do I want to say displaying? Delaying. Yeah. My first question for you is, what did you think of the episode? What are your initial thoughts of the episode, Travis? Raiden. Yeah. Um, that's good. I didn't ask you for your summary. That was what the synopsis was for. Uh, no, you. I'm trying to break down the things that you said right there. The main thing I think with the leading up to it, I read the synopsis and I looked over in the my reference material for the Twilight Zone for this episode specifically before I'd watched it, and before I'd watched it again. And I can't say the last time I'd seen this episode before today, um, but reading about it, I'm like, oh, okay. The twist is that the bomb drops, but the bomb didn't really drop. He's actually uh, he's actually just broken down. So when I watched the episode, I had that in mind the entire time. Like, okay, he's going to break down eventually, and that's going to be a thing. And you're right. Like there wasn't any clear hint or indication that he would break down in that way. Like, obviously the idea is that he's a control freak, and because he wanted to have control over those people so badly that he lost, and he had, that's what triggered his psychotic break. But we didn't see that at all. We didn't see that control piece. We didn't get hints of that. It just kind of sprung up. And if it had just ended with him doing kind of a time enough at last, where, well, nope, it is a world and it's all destroyed now, and that is your punishment. In some ways, I think it's a time enough at last is just being an asshole moral for asshole's sake, because all whatever the character's name is in Time Enough at Last. I'm sorry, I forget off the top of my head. Like, he was punished for no reason. This guy would be punished for a reason. You tried to alienate people, but keep them close to you just to prove a point, and now you're alone, mother trucker. You know. So no, you were not. Oh no! All right. Well, I mean, we could pause here for a second.
No, I think I fixed it. I just never hit transition, so my bad. Let us know if it's still working, guys. But for the audio listener, this is the fun of live streaming for the first time.
Yeah.
Things get messy.
Let me insert a marker right there at 14:24.
Oh, now we get to hear that on the live stream.
Yeah. Let me mark that down. Boop. There you look at that, everybody. You get to be part of the inside baseball. Okay. Well, they were all afraid of nuclear holocaust in the 60s. Yeah. A couple of other episodes like this. You have The Shelter, which was an episode similar to Monsters Are Due on Maple Street. You have Time Enough at Last. You have all of these kind of post-apocalyptic kind of things going on. It's a fear that exists there, and that kind of like emphasizes how much of a jerk this Raiden guy is, because there is that very real fear in the folks back then, and for him to make a gag out of it, which, you know, the TV installation dude at the beginning is like, whatever he says, like, oh, you're just gonna have fun with you using this as a gag on these people, or practical joke. Like, you're a rich dude, and you're using the threat of complete annihilation to get apologies out of the way. Like, just emphasizes how much of a villain this dude really is.
And can we like deconstruct his premise like a little bit? Because like, if you have prior knowledge, right, that there is a bomb coming, and like another country is launching their nukes and the world is gonna be over, and you have that prior knowledge, your decision is to invite the 3 people that most wronged you to your bomb shelter as opposed to like the people you'd want to spend the rest of what's left of Earth with. Like that really bothered me, and I was like, was his thought like, oh, I'm gonna get an apology out of these people if they're the last ones on Earth, or like I don't know, I didn't fully get that.
Well, so at the beginning of the episode, the maintenance people are in there and they're installing the speakers, and they're installing the TV, and they're saying that this isn't real stuff. It's just it has a video of a nuclear explosion or
right.
Explosion. It establishes that this dude doesn't have any foreknowledge of any type of event. He's just doing it as a prank. But okay,
I get that, but within the scope of his gag to these three people, the three that wronged him, if I'm Colonel so-and-so getting invited down to, the lieutenant who I court-martialed his bomb shelter, and he spins around in his chair and he's like, hello, Colonel. Remember that time when you kicked me out of the army during WW2? Well, now there's a nuclear bomb on its way, and I brought you here to say sorry. I'd be like, what? Like, that was... So, like, I can stay here, the guy that would have shot you instead of kicking you out of the army, and we're gonna live here in this shelter with your warehouse of food. Like, you thought of me and your high school teacher and the reverend who is here for a reason that was never really clear in the 22 minutes. Yeah, no, I don't get it. I don't get it, Raiden.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I would rather die.
I'm gonna take my chances with the bomb. Thanks.
Well, I think we can't take it too on the nose.
Sure.
I don't think we're supposed to take it so on the nose as far as like, yes, this is what they're gonna do. I think the theme, then they mention honor more than once throughout the episode, is that the colonel has honor, the school mom has honor and dignity and compassion, and the reverend has honor in some way, shape, or form. That, and at the very, very end, he wants them to say sorry for something that they shouldn't be sorry for. And at the end, they still maintain their honor by saying, we're not going to say sorry. We're going to die with our families. If this were a real event.
Yeah.
And that's something that he cannot comprehend, and he can't ascertain why they wouldn't just, you want to live. Why can't you be selfish and want to live and just say the words empty, sorry, just apologize.
Yeah.
And again, it doesn't really give hints that him losing control or not being able to understand that was something that would make him break. But that's essentially what makes him break it at that point in time.
Well, yeah, and that worldview that says I would rather get an empty apology, a coerced apology from my high school teacher than have them genuinely feel remorse for something that ultimately I was at fault for anyway, and I just got humiliated because I made a very bad decision. Yeah, that isn't necessarily the line of thought of a stable, human being that has it all figured out and is processing things in a healthy way. So I guess that the entire premise gives a nod to him maybe being on the verge of some sort of psychotic break.
Let me ask you this, just as kind of an aside here, is there's all three of these folks wronged him that he perceives, right?
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what the Reverend did.
Well, the Reverend besmirched his name in some way, shape, or form because
a young lady killed herself or something.
He caused a young woman to kill herself in some way, and he had something to do with that. I probably blamed it on him, or it wasn't super clear.
Sure,
but all we know is that he had something to do with calling him out, and Raiden caused some young woman to kill herself. Okay. My question for you, Travis, is of all of them, the cheating on a school test and blaming it on some other person, the getting soldiers killed, not rushing up the hill, or the getting the woman to kill herself, which is the worst? Which is the worst evil? To devil with you.
To the devil with you all. Pretty please with sugar on top. That's my other favorite line from the movie or the show. So did they say they lost a bunch of soldiers because of his unwillingness to take the hill or whatever?
Yeah. Because of the time it took or the delay, it caused young men their lives.
Well, then that seems just based strictly on like a body count decision. Like that seems like the worst to not follow the orders and thus put other people's lives, especially if you're put in a position of like leadership where you're responsible for other people and you're like told, hey, do this, and then other people die because you decide not to do this. That seems bad. Seems like a not good thing.
Yeah, but looking at that, he couldn't have been the only lieutenant in that platoon, right? Where's all the other leadership? Leadership is it starts from the top. It starts from commitment.
Leaders eat last, Brandon.
Leaders eat last. I have a book over here, like top 10 mistakes. Oh yeah, here it is. Top 10 mistakes leaders make. That has to be in there somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure that's part of it. Also, it's allowing someone to be discharged instead of shooting them. I think that's also in the book.
That's in the preface. It's like, look,
written by Colonel Sanders or whatever this guy's name
is. If you make more than 5 of these mistakes, I'm gonna come to your house and I'm gonna shoot you.
If you make 7 of these mistakes, I will send a driver to your house, force you into a bomb shelter, and threaten your apology with nuclear war.
I will make you apologize to me. Okay, the apology stuff. This is what was going through my head towards leading up into the climax of the episode, and it was his understanding that he was about to lose and that these people were going to leave, and because it was a gag, he had no legitimate claim to keep them in that space, and he's not able to keep them. Like if they want to leave, they're going to leave. He can't keep them there because the bomb is not a real thing.
Yeah, and even to the bluff of being like, there's the elevator, fine, you want to go, just go. And they're like, all right, peace out, see ya. And he's like, no, this is really your choice. Like, yeah, the
elevator's broken. The mechanic won't be in until Tuesday. I mean, doomsday. That the feel of that where is slippery sloping towards, I can't do anything to it, like that. It's such a not conflict, but a there's not really stakes involved in it, really, if we're thinking about it.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing that was kind of confusing to me the longer I thought about it, is what is his end? Is really the gotcha, the getting them to apologize. I feel like the entire episode is about control, right? It's about him having control and enough control to bring these people in, force them to come to a shelter and listen to him pontificate about the wrongdoings in his life, and then get them to apologize for something that they may or may not actually feel they were wrong in doing, but still coercing them to do it because they hurt him in some way, shape, or form, and asserting that control over the few people that he's carrying these, this mental scar tissue around from. Because I'm assuming if this goes another way and they're freaked out by the bomb and they're like, yes, please, we're sorry. We beg you, please let us stay down here with you. If they were all so weak of spirit that they made that decision, how does this play out for him? Is he like, nah, I gotcha. All right. You all apologize. Just kidding. Let me hit the button. Click. It was just a joke. There's no bomb. Thanks for coming by. You lose. You get no.
You get nothing. Good day, sir.
You stole fizzy lifting drinks. You touched the ceiling, which now has to be watched.
He just points into each one of their faces. Ha! 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 To you.
Yeah, like Mr. Slugworth comes in from behind the curtain. Like that's the part where I was like, all right, so I guess he gets the apology, and then he's like, all right, just kidding, go home. I don't think he would have been like, no, I actually stocked a warehouse full of food. We're staying down here for 40 years. I don't think that was the game either. So I don't know. I think it was just maybe him not reading the situation very well. And again, his assumption of having control because he's wealthy and he can throw money at this expensive bomb shelter in order to try and get that apology from these people, but never really having the control to get what he actually wants from these people, which is for them to feel bad about something that they don't really need to feel bad about.
Yeah, that is the biggest thing watching the episode is, okay, what do you want these people to leave from? Are you going to give them like $1,000 and then be like, thank you for apologizing. I knew you were wrong the entire time, clearly. And here's some money. Go along your way. This is all a gag. Don't sue me. You signed an NDA to come downstairs, right? I don't know if NDAs existed back then, or if that's a fairly new thing.
I'm sure they did. It's interesting that his teacher, when he's asking about the apologies, and I joked about the pretty please with sugar on top. And she's like, that's what children say when they want something, that they can't have or whatever. It is interesting to think about how childish he's being in this moment where he wants the apology, not because they necessarily did something wrong, but it's like he's carrying around the guilt of the things that he has done wrong. Yeah, and instead of processing that guilt by like accepting it and realizing and making amends for the things that he did, he goes the other direction and says, well, if these guys apologize to me, then I'm not really at fault for this. Like if these people all made me feel bad, but the reason he feels bad is because he did bad things, and these were the people that called him on it. And so instead of processing that and dealing with it, he's like, well, if they apologize for what they called me on, then I'm scot-free. I don't have to deal with that anymore because they are basically assuming blame for it by apologizing. So in that way, I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's a really good observation of what he's trying to do. He's trying to rationalize. Well, he's unable to see the gaps in his character He's unable to see the holes that make him a good person, and he only sees that something has wronged him in some way, shape, or form. It's not him. It's not his imperfect characteristics. It's external to him. I wonder, in this, it's fan fiction. If what else is out there, who else could have been out there, why he picked these three specific people. Because if he is that bad a person, if he is that devoid of moral character, then certainly there are other people that have wronged him, and I use that in quotes, that he believes have wronged him, and why he sought these specific people out: a school mom, a reverend, and a colonel in the army at the time. Like folks that beyond the character diegetic to the story, why would Rod Serling pick those types of people, do you think?
Well, I think a part of it is that they all seem to be from relatively early parts of his life. You think about high school, you think about probably the reverend of his church that he grew up in or something like that. Even him saying he was like a second lieutenant in the army, like very, very new probably in his army career, and discharged at a very probably young age. So from that point, then he went on to somehow make, millions of dollars and become extremely wealthy. And odds are, from his time of being discharged from the army to the point where we sit now, where he's a multimillionaire, he's probably had things handed to him, like not handed to him. He's probably put in some work, but he probably has a lot of people in his life that are catering to him, that are a lot of yes men that are, yes, Mr. Raiden, absolutely, Mr. Raiden, we'll get you whatever you need. Yes, and so he doesn't have a lot of people probably in his life that are challenging him or holding him accountable for anything that he does that's less than, full of honor, as we come back to that theme, right? So these three people probably stand out to him as the three people that have actually held the line on his moral character. And he sits here now, in his 40s or something, and is still struggling with that fact, and wants to be free of that guilt. And instead of processing it or hiring a psychiatrist, he decides, aha, an elaborate atom bomb scenario will get them to apologize for the things I did and then free me of this blame. Obviously not a healthy psychotic place, and as we see with the way the episode turns out, is sort of just that last step before completely breaking down.
I want to do something here, Travis, and it's not something I do normally on this show, but because you, my favorite co-host, talk to me all the time about Rick and Morty, I want to talk about briefly how there's a connection here between Raiden and Rick, in the sense that it does really shitty things for really petty reasons.
Vat of acid. Yeah.
Yeah. Vault of acid. Vault of bomb. Vat of acid. Exactly right. Like what is a brief aside? What is the difference between Raiden and Rick in this, do you think? And it could be about writing, or it could be a character, it could be any number of things.
That is really, Rick is sort of regarded, especially by the fandom of the show, as somebody without limits. He's the smartest man in the universe. He can invent anything. He's capable of just about anything. And someone who is a millionaire in the 60s is maybe not capable of everything, but definitely has enough disposable income to get away with a lot of things. So in that way, I definitely see a similarity, but Rick is also extremely lonely in Rick and Morty, and he doesn't have, I mean, he's got Morty, but there's awkwardness within that relationship, but there's not a lot of like close friends that he, like outside of his immediate family there. So, he has to construct ways, and sometimes very convoluted ways, to try and force companionship or force people to like him. And I think we see a little bit of that with Raiden, where he goes through all this effort for something that's pretty petty, and something that someone that's maybe a little bit more healthy could kind of brush off or realize, you know what, yeah, I made a mistake, or I did something wrong. And I got called out for it, but that's an opportunity to grow. That's an opportunity to change for the better. And instead of doing that, they're like, no, vat of acid, like
heist. All a heist. That's important.
Exactly. Oh yeah, you should go to your pitch meeting, Morty. I'm sure that'd be great. Yeah. So yeah, I think there's definitely some similarities to be drawn between the two.
Okay. All right. That ends the International RSS Rick and Morty podcast crossover was submitted for your approval. The last thing I wanted to say on this, and then I'll pass it back to you, is knowing how the episode ends as far as the twist goes, with it just being a psychotic break. That would have been more effective to me had at the very beginning of the episode they didn't clue the viewer in that it was all a gag from the start. Because once they do that, then the rest of the episode is kind of tainted, or not tainted, but it's colored by that initial interaction with the maintenance people, where you're like, well, none of this matters because he's just effing around with them. Like it's all a joke to him. And then it gets to the atomic bomb, and then you're like, oh, there it is. There's that twist. It wasn't all a gag. He thought it was a gag, but it's not a gag. Oh no, it was a gag, and now he's psychotic. Had they cut out the beginning part, then it would have been like, oh, look at that. Here, like that beginning part is there to establish that first part of the twist. And that first part of the twist is unnecessary. I don't know.
I agree with you for a lot of that, but something I feel like without that early indicator that this is staged, this isn't real, it clues the viewer into the fact that Raiden knows that it's not real. Going into it, and I think that the episode could be interpreted differently without that opening premise of it being a gag, where you might have the assumption throughout the entire episode, once you get to the end, that the entire time Raiden did think it was real, and that when he emerges from the shelter and he sees everything as exploded rubble, he's always processed it that way. He's always thought, yeah, I'm going to bring these people in because the world is going to end, and this is my last opportunity to get apologies out of these people before everything's gone. And so I don't know. I think you almost need that first part to kind of show that this is a manipulation tactic on his part. Yeah. He's not already like mentally broken to the point where he thinks all of this is necessary because there is in fact a bomb going off. This is still a controlling person trying to assume control in a situation, and it's the failure within the situation that ultimately leads to that final breakdown. So I don't know. That's my take on it.
Well, you proved me wrong, And that's why I love having you as a guest on the show, Travis.
No punches pulled.
No, those it's good. It's a good point. I agree with you for the most part. I go back and forth on it, where not necessarily that we had to keep up the illusion that it was a gag the entire time. I just think that it could have been, I don't know, it could have been written in a different place to still get that he's manipulating these people, because without that beginning part, we can see that, well, he's still an asshole. He's bringing these people in and he's saying, yes, I will save your life if you apologize to me, which is an insidious thing to do. Like, he doesn't care about these people. These people don't care about him. Why would you want to save these people? And then if the progression from that then is, before they leave, he yells up to them like, it was all a joke. Yeah, it was all a joke. You didn't stay down here and you just didn't apologize. It was all a joke. You just had to say whatever. And then he goes upstairs, and then the bomb goes off, and yeah. I just think,
or if he had just, like, clicked to a control and been like, all right, that's enough. We don't. You can stop the simulation. It's fine, or whatever. Like something to show after the fact that he was aware that it wasn't real. But then to go up and be like, oh, well, yeah, okay, everything's actually.
Yeah, because it's insidious that he would do these to these people, because he's saving people he doesn't like's lives, but then it makes it an extra level of cruel when you find out that he's joking about it, and then I don't know. Look, I'm not. We're not writers. We're not in a writer's room.
We're definitely not.
Yeah. Last question, Travis, and I defer this to you immediately. Do you have any other kind of stray observations from the episode?
Like, just a couple of things that stood out to me. I guess, I don't know, do you call it cinematography when it's TV? Some of the ways they laid out some of the shots, I really love the shot when the three guests first come into the shelter and Raiden is still sort of in shadow. The way that the three chairs are there, kind of positioned in kind of like a triangle, just kind of like the balance, but also like the angle of it just feels a little tilted, and the way that they move into the room and take their different chairs. Both times I watched the episode, I was just like, wow, that just looks really cool. Yeah, and then I think just at the end, the jarring back and forth between, it's a simulation. Oh no, it's real. No, oh no, it's him, like, just having a psychotic breakdown, and then bouncing back into his mental perception of, okay, he's locked in this, like, now personal psychosis of everybody's gone, even as the cop is like,
yeah,
no, we're here, like, I'm gonna take care of you, and he's like, I'm all alone, I'm all by myself, like,
the first time did you see it, was it clear to you that he was just imagining this in his head when the cop was like, hey Mac?
Well, so he was imagining
that the
bomb went off. I'm assuming everything that happened in the shelter was actually happened.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, at the end, he comes out and he sees that the bomb has gone off, and he's like, oh, he does like a weird little moan, and then he sees the weird statue that looks like it's deformed already.
Yeah.
And then it switches to he is leaning against that statue, and the cop comes up and he's like, hey Mac, you all right? Mac, you can't stay here, Mac. And hey, see, Mac, at that point in time, did you say to yourself, okay, yeah, like he was imagining that the bomb had gone off and he just having some kind of breakdown.
Yeah, that's what I took away from it. I didn't think about it until just now that it doesn't necessarily make it clear that everything else that happened in the episode actually happened. We do see that it's like called Raiden Tower or whatever. We see that he is probably a millionaire, like the building's named after him. So it's very possible that all that stuff did actually happen. But because it swaps back and forth between those ideas of him being alone, and like there isn't necessarily something that says assuredly like if any of those three characters had like been walking on the street or had come back and been like, oh, what's going on with it, like we would at least know that those characters existed like in the real world of the front of this building. But there's actually no guarantee that even any of that happened. But I mean, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that it actually did.
I'll be honest. I hadn't entertained or even considered the idea that maybe nothing that happened down in that bunker had happened. I just always assumed from my watch that everything that was happening with inside the bunker up until he hears up until he has a break and then the sirens start going off and then he smashes the TV. Up until that point in time, everything is real and accurate. Then he goes upstairs, and then when he sees that it's a wasteland, that continues his odd perception post TV breakdown.
Yeah.
I hadn't considered that maybe the whole thing was an illusion. I don't think it was, but somebody out there, your interpretation is just as valid as ours, or mine at least.
Yeah. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm making it spicy.
Yeah. Ooh, spicy, like those jalapenos that are in my backyard. Last thing, Travis, what do you rate the episode? Whatever rating scale you have, give it to me. Give it to me.
I would give this episode 2 pallbearers out of 4. I feel like there's some good stuff in it. There's only 4 of them there.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So yeah, there were things I liked about the episode. Really, it was the sort of disjointedness of the way that it ended that caused me to rate it not any higher. But otherwise, I did enjoy the episode.
Yeah, I would give it 2 pallbearers and a half a pallbearer, so 2.5 pallbearers out of 4. And I say half because hey, some of this was a psychotic break, so it doesn't have to be real. But there's like a leg strewn about, what have you.
Just a random arm hanging from the coffin.
Yeah. It I enjoy the moral of the story about honor and maintaining your honor and doing the right thing, and even when doing the right thing in the first place, but maintaining that doing the right thing well into whatever future that you have. Like he was a schoolboy. He's in his 40s with that school mom after he cheated, and he's still holding that against her. And she still is like, oh yeah, I remember you. And yeah, you are a piece of shit. And I'm glad I called you out for it. Right. Like, I have compassion for people who deserve it, and you never deserved it. And it's clear now that you still don't deserve it.
Yeah.
For that moral, I give it an extra little bit, because it's telling something good, right? It's standing true to your moral convictions, even when someone is saying they're going to save your lives. So yeah, Thanks, Travis. Thank you for that.
Absolutely.
The last thing we have before we end every episode. Well, there's two things, but people can talk to you whenever they want. I'm not going to interview you because I don't care about you. It's a section called Choose Your Own Adventure. And what we do for this, Travis, is we make up an alternate ending for the episode. It could be funny. It could be poignant. It could be death-defying. It could be whatever you want it. So if you were to change the ending to this episode, what would that ending be?
I also did not prepare for this.
Oh, I know. I didn't either.
Well, how would I change the ending? The ending obviously being the part of the episode that I have the most of a critique with. So I think maybe the inclusion of something I alluded to earlier with one or maybe all three of the individuals that were invited to the storm shelter, the bomb shelter. Maybe making them have an appearance on that street, whether they're just walking by or whether they're because they don't leave that much sooner, like that far in advance of him going up there. So I don't know if there's something, maybe one of them comes back and then like sees him and is like, oh no, and then like turns around and leaves or whatever. Like, I don't know, something to prove that they existed in the first place. Maybe that could be something to kind of add more flavor. I don't know.
Yeah. No.
Who am I to question Rod? Like, he does a good job.
He does a good job. You know, he does a good job over in Flavor Town. I didn't. The benefit of going second for these adventures is when I don't prepare things, which is fairly often. I can use my refiner ability and take what you have or whatever guest has, and then workshop it a little bit. I have two workshop suggestions for this. The first is that we include all three individuals, right? Raiden is at the fountain, and the cop walks off. He goes to get the crowd to like, hey, scatter, there's nothing to see here. And Raiden's just kind of freaking out, like, oh. And then then the three people come over, the school mom, the colonel, and the reverend, and they just all three start kicking him.
Just spitting on him.
No, just like full swing back, like like a Ronaldo or Messi, just soccer kicking the shit out of him.
School mom's just got her purse, just like,
sorry. Oh, you want me to be sorry, huh, mom? And just like beating him to death, and then. And then in the fantasy world that Raiden finds himself in, he's just being gnawed by giant nuclear rats.
that instantly mutated. Yeah.
And he's like, why are these rats kicking me? It's so stupid.
It's weird that wasn't how it actually ended. That's so strange that didn't make it off the cutting room floor.
Yeah. I think that was his second draft, and they're like, nah, let's rewrite the ending. The second workshop I had, and I am holding up three fingers. The second workshop I have was it's not as funny. It's a little bit more serious. They were ghosts the entire time. And
the guests were ghosts.
Yeah. Oh, check this out. As he's staring up into the sky, he's freaking out. The cop walks away, and then the camera pans out, and you see three hearses drive by, and each of those 3 hearses like has a name on the back. I don't know why hearses would have a name on the back. Maybe it's like in the wreaths, the wreaths, and it says Longfellow, the Colonel, and whatever the Reverend's name was. And then it's like, oh, whoa, three pallbearers, and now there's just one. They just need one more.
Yeah, I think if they had just panned out on the street, and that dancing pallbearer meme that's going around right now, if they were just dancing down the street with a coffin, I think that's really how. If they had thought ahead a good 50 years, 60? Jeez, that show's old, man.
You remember Six Flags Magic Mountain?
I ever?
The dancing old man.
Yeah.
That's what I imagine the dancing pallbearer is.
Yeah, it's totally the same thing. It's fine.
Yeah.
All good endings, all good ways to improve the episode.
Yeah, yours is better. Okay. Travis, do me a favor. Thank you. First of all, thank you for coming on the show. I know that technically you don't have a choice because I force you to, but I still appreciate it. Why don't you tell my listeners, Brandon's listeners, how to get a hold of you? What type of things do you work on weekly?
Well, here's my phone number. If you want to get a hold of me. No, I am the co-host of Brandon's other podcast that he works on. So we have been churning out episodes of Apathetic Enthusiasm for over 5 years now. What a time to be alive. So yeah, you can find that as well as Interdimensional RSS, the unofficial Rick and Morty podcast, over at apatheticenthusiasm.com. That's our website. You can follow me on Twitter at Jugglemino. I haven't tweeted. Well, I tweeted this last week for the first time in like 2 years, talking about that NBA bubble. Hooray sports. But yeah, no, you can follow our shenanigans over on Instagram, apathetic_enthusiasm, or go to the website and check us out there. And yeah, just support this show because I love that Brandon does it. And and then check out our other shows. Go to twitch.tv/apatheticenthusiasm. Go to youtube.com/apatheticenthusiasm. Follow our video stuff over there because we're trying. We're trying.
We're trying. And if you want to watch this episode as we recorded it live, you can go out to the aforementioned youtube.com/apatheticenthusiasm, or twitch.tv/apatheticenthusiasm. I think the recordings stay there for a good little while.
Yeah, you can catch the first half of the episode where my mic wasn't working.
Oh yeah. For this show, if you want to get a hold of me with S4YA, Facebook.com/S4YA podcast, Instagram S4YA_podcast, Twitter S4YA_podcast, or email S4YApodcast@gmail.com. And finally, we're at our website, www.apatheticenthusiasm.com, where you can get this and Apathetic Enthusiasm and more. Not a lot more, but a little bit.
A little bit more.
Also, if you do like the show, we do have a Patreon. I don't publicize it that much.
But I will. Patreon.com/RickandMortyPod, where for just $1 you can support not just this podcast, but all 3 of our podcasts. $1 a month gets you all kinds of extra goodies, and then the benefits just go up from there. $5, $10. You can get behind the scenes. You can get inside the mind of Brandon Cruz with all of his weird stray projects that he does. Yeah, and every dollar goes right back into this podcast to help us make it even better. So thank you guys to everybody that supports us at Patreon. Yep. And that's why I'm here. I'm just here to promote Patreon because Brandon won't do it himself.
Look, we did meat stick reviews on my wife got me.
I'm gonna have to get some meat sticks and get in on this meat stick review game because you're killing it over there.
The wife bought me a bunch of beef jerky and meat sticks for my birthday. Gotta review them meat sticks.
Gotta meat stick of the month. That's what he's doing over at Patreon. But yeah, all right, anyway, back to you. Go finish your show, Brandon. I'll just listen. I'll just be over here.
Well, thank you everybody for listening, for watching, And until next time, I'm Brandon Cruz, and this was Submitted for Your Approval. I think I pressed the right button.
If you're watching live, we're not going anywhere. Do not go away. We are doing a post show. We have just finished our second podcast, and now our time is yours, everybody. So stick around. Let us know. Let us know that you're here. Drop your name in the chat. Don't drop your name in the chat, but just say hi. Say hi. Let us know that you're here, because we are shifting over to the post show, where it's all about Twitch. It's all about YouTube. How are you guys doing? Happy Monday, Brandon. Great job. We switched sides again. I'm back on the left. You're back on the right.
Travis is back to the main hosting gig, where. It's I said that to you earlier about switching it over to the left, and like I know it sounded like, as I was typing, I'm like, this sounds like a cocky thing to say, but just as like it's order of operations, as far as like, you look at the whoever is considered like the focus and who's controlling the narrative, who is the, you know. Like
even when you watch like the talking head news shows, right? Like typically, like the host on your preferred cable news network is on the left, and then their guest is like on the right. And that is not I guess intentional on my part for most of our shows being that way. I think that's just the way that it ordered our video in OBS like the first time I did it, and I was like, I'll just keep it that way. And the reality is, when I made the S4YA background for doing that episode today, an hour before we started the episode, I was like, I'll just take the AE backdrop and I'll just take that. I opened it up in Illustrator, started messing with stuff, adding new background, reworking some fonts. And then I was like, okay, cool. Like, yeah, this looks like an S4YA thing. And so I like take a little video in OBS. I'm like, hey, look, it's working. Here you go. And you're like, move me to the other side. I'm the host on that show. That's not how you said it at all. But it's funny because I thought about it as I put it together. I was like, yeah, I guess I could. I guess I could switch it. I mean. I don't know. I don't know how much we're gonna do this. Like, I don't
know. When I said it to you, I meant it to come out exaggeratedly cocky, where I'm like, look how cocky I'm being about this. So it would make it seem like I'm like I understand that it sounds weird and cocky to request that bit.
Also, I want 1,000 gummy bears in my dressing room before we start this episode.
Look. My name is Alan, and I demand perfection. Oh, man. Do you want to talk about Ellen for a couple minutes?
No, but
who's ever seen a shooting star come down that quick?
Dude, so Ellen got a lot of play in my house. Wife is home most of the day. The whole, like, be good to each other, spread kindness, give people oversized checks because they're down on their luck, just really resonates in my household. Not to mention goofy games and all sorts of things that keep the kids wanting more. So I had heard a lot of like the rumors about Ellen being less than awesome
for years.
Yeah, and had a conversation with my brother-in-law a while back about her being just terrible, and it's really hard to balance that when she ends every episode with be kind to one another or whatever it is, and then you hear about her not being kind to everyone. So now that things are coming out more, looking like she might lose her show and all kinds of stuff, which is awful. Like that really sucks for her. And I know that she has impacted a lot of lives for the better through that platform. But you got to be good to your people too. Like, you got to be good to your people. So, yeah, a lot of fallout. I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah. For it's so hard to match those two images of a person where there's the public persona like, oh, look at me, hoo wee, hoo, look, I'm so goofy and I love everybody.
Yeah, it's like you on this show, and then the way you treat me when we stop streaming. It's like,
yeah, no,
it's
I
like,
was I know I treated you that way at the beginning of S4YA. Look, yeah, everybody saw the true color. You're garbage, and the quicker you realize that, and the quicker you realize that the only real star power is me, and that you're just here to serve me and to elevate my presence, the better.
Yeah, exactly. And if you could just come down to my bomb shelter, I will get an apology out of you when all this is said and done.
My friend Carrie, she on Facebook, she posted, there was a tweet that went out. It was like asking for people for negative Ellen stories, right? And so my friend Carrie, she posted on Twitter, she's like, this didn't happen to me, so just take it as a grain of salt, anecdotal from somebody I know and trust, but it's still not my story. That Ellen went into a restaurant and her server had a broken nail, and because that server had a broken nail, she tried to get that person fired, and I trust Carrie. Like, there's not many people that I trust more than Carrie, because she's a strong moral character, and it's just like when you hear those types of things, and again, like you're trying to match those two things. I just don't know how people could be that awful. Like, something I'm talking about in like the Podfest speech that I'm trying to put together is about, like, people can tell when you're not being genuine. They can tell when you're faking it, especially if you're a fan. Like, we talk about Rick and Morty all the time. If we weren't fans of Rick and Morty, especially you and me, I feel confident about this. If we're not fans of something, you can tell that we're not fans of something because we're not really great at faking it.
Yeah, no, we're not the best liars in general.
Yeah. And so that's part of my speech is like, fan communities can tell when you're not being genuine about something because they are fans, and they know when you're like, okay, you're not just a follower or something. Like, maybe you enjoy it, but you're not, like, this isn't something that really is internal to you. Like, I'm a Twilight Zone fan. I wouldn't call you a Twilight Zone fan. You enjoy it, you watch it, but you're not gonna host a Twilight Zone podcast, right? Because it just doesn't speak to you. But then we see Ellen, and that takes that kind of thesis away from me a little bit, and like, well, she did seem like the real deal. She's really good looking like a real deal.
Yeah, and I think that's where we get sort of, things get cloudy and things get polluted, where she was really good at being daytime TV's Ellen, host of the Ellen DeGeneres show or whatever, the Ellen show, and with, lucrative spin-offs of Ellen's Game of Games and, the Heads Up app and all these other things, right? Like, she has built the brand of Ellen, right? But she's also had a lot of, problems and struggles that she's overcome, and she's incredibly successful. And the reality is, a lot of people have a hard time being that successful if they're not willing to either step on or step over people, especially in Hollywood, which is unfortunate. Like, it's hard to make it in that town to begin with. But but hopefully, there's still some genuinely good people out there. I like to think that there are. But she has taken that to an extreme. She's taken the idea of a great person to an extreme, who is donating Walmart and Cheerios money to families that are down on their luck, and then she gives away 12 Days of Christmas, and all the the entire audience gets flat screen TVs and trips to I don't know where where you go. I was thinking Baja,
Baja, New Mexico.
Yeah. Baja, yeah, it's just like.
Is there Baja, New Mexico?
No, I don't think so. I don't think we'd be allowed there anyway right now. But I think that's what makes this all the harder to, kind of wrestle with, is the idea that she has made this public persona of kindness and looking out for each other and being good to people. And then when you get these stories of like, yeah, no, that's not really her, then it's so separated. If you are used to seeing a character on screen who is a rude and malicious bad guy, and then you find out, oh, and they're also kind of a jerk off screen too, you're like, all right, that tracks. Like, yeah, okay, I get it. But it is so like polarizing in terms of the public persona versus what we're hearing about in the back.
It would be like finding out that Robin Williams was the biggest asshole in Hollywood. You'd be like, oh no, really? Or like Tom Hanks, really? Oh, like
Tom Hanks is a good example, or like Mr. Rogers.
it'd be kind of soul crushing. We're like, no, I can't believe that.
That we're only 8 months into 2020. There's still time for Tom Hanks to be ruined for us too. Like,
no, don't.
Not Woody.
No, not Woody. Look, we already lost Tim Allen. We don't need to lose Woody too.
We lost him?
Oh yeah, I mean
he didn't die though, right?
No, he's not. Wilford Brimley died though.
Yes, he did.
He did.
Yeah. Cocoon. That's a movie.
Cocoon Man himself. Yeah, we lost so many good people in 2020. Wilford Brimley and many others. I feel bad for all the people who work on our staff, right? Those Ellen will be fine. She'll be comparing herself to prison COVID in her lush mansion for years on end. But it's the people who work for her, the interns, the production staff, the writers, all those folks who those are the people who suffer if they don't find a replacement for her. I've heard like I saw something talking about like Corden, whatever that dude's name is.
James Corden. Yeah, I've heard about him.
And I know that he has a past of being at least back in the day of being insufferable. But you talk about
so he's a perfect fit.
Yeah, you talk about people gaining fame and then not knowing how to handle it. James Corden is an example of that, especially for our UK friends, where they said, some of the people who worked with him, like the more famous he got, the more of an insufferable prick he became. And like he's had to work on that, and he's gone to therapy to try to be better at that, and he's had to work on it actively. My younger brother, and this is anecdotal, I'll just throw this out there. He went to a James Corden, whatever, like live or whatever this show is, to go see it with his girlfriend, and he like could not be less welcoming to the audience there. Like didn't care much about him. But I take that with a grain of salt because I know that not Jon Stewart, but the other dude from the Daily Show, Colbert. Yeah.
Oh, I was like Trevor Noah.
Yeah, Colbert. I know that Colbert, like a lot of the times that they're preparing to go in front of the camera, and they're preparing for the next scene, preparing for it to go live, and so there's preparation to go there. So
Yeah,
I give a little bit of a leeway there, but
well, and it's hard too. Like it's hard to be on all the time, and
no, it's not. No, it's not.
we're not even famous, and we have to do it sometimes. Like as he polishes off the glass. Yeah, it's especially in a professional atmosphere, you can't always just hide behind glasses of wine to make it happen.
As I prepare speech for Podfest.
Yeah, prepared. It's I understand it's got to be tough for a lot of those guys, and it, as you get into certain echelons of fame, like life has to get real weird. I was watching that Bulls Michael Jordan documentary, The Last Dance, that came out right in the middle of my peak COVID stay-at-home times, and it was really interesting. They spent some time talking about Michael Jordan and the life that he led at the peak of his stardom, and how he couldn't do anything. Like, he would go to the game, he'd do some press, maybe he'd go back to his hotel room. He'd normally stay at his, unless the team was traveling. Like, if the team was traveling, like, he'd go to his hotel, spend the entire day in the hotel, and then leave for the game. But like, he couldn't go out, he couldn't go to a restaurant, go see the sights or anything like that, because he was so famous that anywhere he went, he would be mobbed. He couldn't function as a human. And then at the same time, while he's experiencing this, you have an ad campaign where everyone wants to be like Mike. I want to be like Mike. And they're like, do you know what it's like to be like Mike? Because it's lonely and it's
miserable.
It's miserable at times. So yeah, it's hard to live in that situation where everybody loves you and everybody wants to be close to you, but it's also incredibly isolating and incredibly difficult to feel like a normal person in that environment. And I understand why it gets to some people's head, and they have to process through that in a healthy way. And so
we covered Showbiz Kids last week, and they talked about that aspect of it, of getting fame as a child actor, and then going out in public, and then people recognizing you in public, and how difficult that is for kids to do. Now, if it's difficult for kids to adjust to that fame at such a young age, and kids are flexible, you throw a kid at a wall. I mean,
they bounce right back.
Bounce right back. Break an arm. It's wobbly. It's basically cartilage still, right? But when
ladies and gentlemen, the folks at Apathetic Enthusiasm do not support any sort of child endangerment. This was simply a joke.
Simply a joke. So but now, like, when we're talking about adults, like they're already kind of set in their ways, and their mindsets and how they react to things are becoming less flexible. We're all flexible, but it takes a little bit of time. And so I don't think, especially for maybe some folks who, as they get older, we don't give them enough kind of leeway. We're like, well, you're an adult already. You should know how to handle this.
You should know better. Yeah.
And maybe that's why so many people are in therapy.
Could be why.
Yeah.
Well,
that was good. That was a good lighthearted discussion. Going going into our bonus content. That's great. Lighthearted bonus content. That's really.
I will say that lighthearted bonus content got some people to stick around. Some of you guys are hanging out. Yeah, let us know that you're here. Like we know you're watching. We know you're watching right now. We want to know how your week's going. How was your weekend? Did you guys do anything fun? Did you see anything cool? What are you watching? What are you playing? Give us recommendations. We want to know what the stuff is going on out there that you guys are enjoying, and then we'll talk about it on a future episode. So I'm all for. I'm taking like a week off of work, so I'm all for filling that with movies and video games and the like.
You shoot it our way. We'll cover it. I'm teleworking to this week and next week, and I don't have a work computer that I usually have, which means that I have lots of extra time to do other stuff.
You're just
now.
like, what do I do? I already checked my email, so
that is exactly how I felt this morning. I usually have two work computers. One work computer, and I could do a lot of stuff through VPN, and I don't have the work computer. So I came in here this morning. I sat at my computer, I logged in. I had to troubleshoot to figure out how to log in because some things had changed with Catalina OS. And by the time I got in, I'm like, okay, here we are. What do I want to do?
like, all right, time to get some work done.
Grab my notebook. Check that off. I did that last week.
Yep, getting a lot of work done now.
Time to check my daily chess game.
How's that crossword looking for today?
How's Podfest doing? So let me talk. Speaking about Podfest, I'm gonna open up OBS. I'm gonna show you this Hoova app. I'm gonna show you this Hoova app live. Travis,
I wonder if there's a good way for me to feature your entire screen on here. I wonder if there's a good way. That is certainly not it.
No.
I'm just going through all my. Ooh, wow! I just clicked on the D&D scene from Remember back when we used to play D&D, Brandon?
I do remember.
Remember when that was a thing? I miss it. I miss it so much.
I miss that so much. So last week we talked about Comic-Con at home. We talked about Adult Swim Con, and we talked about briefly just the whole idea of us. Like those things are great, but they need some kind of common kind of community or kind of hub to capture it, right? Because Bill and Ted is on its own. This other thing's on their own. All these different panels are kind of on their own. You can go to the Comic-Con website, and they'll send you a calendar reminder to go to this site at such and such a time to watch it on YouTube or watch it on Twitch. But there's no kind of cohesion to it. So I mentioned Hoova for this Podfest, and I'm gonna bring it up now. Here it is. You can see it. There it is. Bing, bang, boom. I can actually make it bigger if I really wanted it. Boop. Now it's too big. Now it's too big, Travis.
I'm gonna make you like bigger on here.
Okay. All right. So this Hoova app, and I'm a speaker. I'm just throwing it out there. You can't see me on camera. I just made it like a look at me, like I'm a speaker kind of thing. But this is a place where like you can go. There's a desktop app. There's this web app. Go out here. You can look at the agenda. I just tapped on the agenda button, and you can look at all the different days, all the different. Oh, Sex Communication Con. Oh my god!
Hey, don't miss that one, guys.
You know what I'm doing tomorrow? That one's free, by the way. It's freemium. Let's see. All these different kind of mini conventions and like my speeches here on Friday. All these different things, and this ties to Zoom. So let's say the storytelling track. I'll put here. These are all the different events that are going on that day that we can say, oh, you know what? I wanna hear about how to tell authentic stories amidst a pandemic. Click on that. We know that Chris Colbert or Colbert is the speaker for it. We can look at his bio and we can say, oh, this is what his interests are. This is his contact info, all this type of stuff. Go back. We know that it's Friday, August 14th. And we could say, yeah, add to my agenda. Whatever, no reminder, because I'm not actually going to go. And then because it's a virtual event, we want to ask them questions. Post a question. These are some of the kind of questions here. What are you wearing? Right. We can ask. I'm not going to ask that question.
Quick ask.
but it would put it there, and so that kind of fulfills that. Yeah, I want to know more about this. So if I wanted to reach out to Chris directly, I could hit him up and say, hey, I have this question. I don't want to ask it to the whole group, or etc. Comment on it. Now when this is live, it will. When any of these things are live, we'll just go this one again. When it's live, it will take you to a live stream video that is provided by Zoom. And so this one single platform gets everything you need as far as, a virtual event goes. That's all. Liz. Hey, Liz. Hi. Bye, Liz. Bye. And that's that. That was just a real.
Wow, you're so close up now because of the way I have Zoom set up. I gotta fix Zoom. You guys.
Sorry.
There we go. I fixed it. I fixed Zoom. We're back. But that's cool. That's what I feel like. That's what a lot of those events. I hope we're not doing this a year from now. But a lot of these online events could really use an app like that ties it all together and makes it feel like a cohesive event, even in the virtual space. I feel like that is really cool. And then again, I'm assuming that app was not invented for the idea of a virtual con. I'm sure it probably existed first as a actual conventions type app where
well,
you could go to those things in person.
When I went to Podfest in Orlando in March, they had this app and they were using it for basically the same thing. They didn't have the live stream video to it, but it was you could sign up for whatever event is going to happen. It would remind you, a couple hours, 30 minutes, 10 minutes, etc. You could connect with other people who were also at that event. So when I was there, there was a D&D kind of live, not a D&D live, but like a D&D community where people got together and like, hey, anybody else like D&D? Let's have a dinner on Friday night. And I went in there and I was like, oh yeah, this is a good idea. And then my social anxiety kicked in and I didn't actually go. But that type of thing still exists now in the virtual space that we can do, and we can, because everyone is now accustomed to Zoom. They can set up their own Zoom chats and have their own personal meetups. And I think it works better for the more introverted people among us. And I don't know if it's surprising to me, but there's a lot of people who are introverts in the podcasting space where they're like, yeah, because I've talked to a handful of people who are always like, yeah, no, I'm total introvert. I don't really like getting my face or my voice out there, but I just love to do it still.
Yeah. That's good, Brandon. You should get out there more.
Just like you.
I never get out. Then I try to get out and it backfires. So
Enneagram 8.
What?
What are you? What are
I'm
you?
a 9. I'm a 9. We're gonna turn this into the Enneagram pod. That should be an AE topic. Enneagram. I am a 9. The peacemaker is often what it's called, which is someone that likes to keep everybody happy. So that means me not always speaking up. But I don't know. Enneagram's weird. I wing 1 towards the perfectionist, so that makes me very detail oriented and wanting to get things right. So then when I find out that I forgot to include my microphone on a scene for a Twilight Zone podcast, I feel like a fool. No, it's all good. It's all good.
No, you do feel like a fool, but it is all good, and that's what's important to remember. Yeah, we should do that. I think we did talk about personality tests. That's at one point in time in AE.
We did like Myers-Briggs, I think.
Yeah, I think we talked about Enneagram because we did do those tests, I think, but I don't think we necessarily we didn't focus on that. That was during our psychology.
Our psychology stint on Apathetic Enthusiasm when you were really into that for a minute.
Yeah, I could tell.
I have
you weren't interested in it, and so we moved on.
I have a lot of friends and acquaintances who are at least some that are very into the Enneagram, and then others that are just sort of loosely, like, notionally interested in it. So there's a lot of like, oh, what's your number? Okay, all right. But Enneagram is cool because it feels like a personality. It feels at first like, oh, it's putting me in a box, right? But it's less about that and more of sort of giving a name to sort of the lens that you see the world through, and sort of what motivates the choices you make. And so instead of being like, oh, well, yeah, I would go to the store and buy, flavored meat sticks, because I'm a 9. No, like, the actions you take are not necessarily what define what number you are. It's your motivations or your reasons behind the action so you and I may do the exact same thing in a situation, but your reason for making that choice and my reason for making that choice could be vastly different. Yeah. And once you figure out what people's motivations are and why they act a certain way or they behave in a certain way, it helps you to see how you can be helpful in that situation, and maybe by providing feedback in a way that's easier for them to digest or things like that, because you get a better sense for what their motivations are.
Yeah. The ones that I like, and I did this with Chelsea one time, and I forget what the test is called, but it's the perception of, it's your perception of yourself, and then somebody also takes a test, and then the result is their perception of you. And so you start to see those holes, those blind spots that you have, where you're like, I feel like I'm really good at snap judgments. And somebody who answers that question is like, actually, I don't think Brandon is that good at snap judgments. Just as a very, very baseline example of it. And those are interesting to me, because perception is just a huge aspect in our lives and in our jobs, specifically, like where we're in management leadership positions, and we think we're one way, but it's important for us to realize maybe we don't always look that way to other people.
Yeah.
And depending on who those other people are, then we adjust our approach to them. Like this one woman I work with, I know that I have to be more direct with my communication with her, because if I'm not, then she doesn't know if I'm being serious or if I actually want something done by her. Like she doesn't react well necessarily to the joking, sarcastic kind of ha ooh goofy Brandon. She needs more of the, hey, I need you to do this. You need to do this right now. You need to do it by this time next week. Yada yada. You need to talk to this person and deliver it to them.
Okay. Yes, absolutely. Yes, thank you. All right, understood.
Or those people are like, oh, Brandon, you funny. Yeah, I'll have it to Jennifer by Tuesday.
That guy. He every time, right? Am I right with that guy? I better get the work done. Otherwise, I'll come by and tell another long-winded joke. Am I right?
God, he's just so weird. I get a lot of that.
I get a lot of that.
Just so weird.
Well, we are. These double headers, these doubleheader podcasts, they really extend our stream time. We have now eclipsed 3 straight hours. But so thankful for everybody that is tuning in, hanging out for one, the other, both podcasts, or the extra time afterwards. We appreciate you guys hanging out. We appreciate you watching. Come back next week. Monday we're gonna have another episode. Maybe we'll throw some more Rick and Morty your way. And just thank you guys for continuing to support the streams, whether that's here on Twitch, whether that's on YouTube after the fact. But we're so glad you guys are here, and I'm gonna call it, Brandon. So you guys,
that's good. I didn't realize it's 12. It's 12:10.
Yeah, it's after midnight. So, but you guys have a great night, a great rest of your week. Maybe I'll stream some Minecraft later this week, because why not? We'll go explore the world together. I'm getting back into it, guys. It's happening. You better watch out. Brandon, you get the final word.
All I want to say is that have a good night, and thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and thank you for all your support for everything that you guys do. And we will never be Ellens to you. I can promise you that.
Be good to each other.
Be good to each other. Be good to one another.
Bye.
I hate